Group of Five program before. So I don't know, man. It's going to be a lot of fun. How about James Madison? James Madison's one that could go on a significant run. They're not in the transition year like they were a year ago. So they're a team to maybe keep an eye on at the Group of Five level. South Alabama, you mentioned as well. They got athletes, man.
Yeah. They really do. Good win, by the way, for James Madison, and a great game against Troy. That was a hefty battle there on the NFL Network. Michael Penix Jr., I don't know if you're going Shedeur Sanders or who for your Heisman right now, but 375 more yards and 4 touchdowns by halftime at Michigan State. They beat Michigan State in East Lansing 41-7 there. 713 yards of offense, and now they play Cal as they ease into the Pac-12. They're back at home for a little purple rain.
Yeah, Cal is going to be spicy on defense, though, and they always are. But, yeah, they got to go on the road. I'll tell you what, man, you watch Washington, you watch Michael Penix Jr. Sometimes I feel like he throws incompletions just because you're supposed to have some. Right? It's like this dude doesn't miss, man, and when he does, it ain't by a lot, right? And, like, I think he may be the most accurate deep ball passer that we have right now in college football. He's so good at dragging guys across the field deep, whether it's a post, whether it's a corner, and dropping the ball in the bucket. That's the thing that you got to be impressed with Washington is those yards and those plays are big. They're not dink and dunk.
They're not dink and dunk. This show flies by, Lugs. Replay starts in a second. We'll do it again next Monday. Watch everything here on the Next Round platform. Have a great week, Luke and Bill. We'll see you on TV. Until next time, God bless you and God bless America.
Love it, buddy.
The wait is over. Tonali has arrived. Beautifully distinctive Italian styling and performance. Come test drive the all-new 2024 Alfa Romeo Tonali plug-in hybrid at Alfa Romeo of Birmingham. The all-new Tonali offers best-in-class horsepower and torque, fastest 0 to 60 times in its class, plus best-in-class range with full electric charge. And best of all, qualified Tonali leasees are eligible for up to $7,500 EV tax credit factored into your lease. Hurry down to Alfa Romeo of Birmingham and experience the all-new Tonali.
Drytech Water Restoration is a locally owned company that specializes in mold remediation, fire and water damage cleanup, and SteraMist services. Drytech's goal is to provide clients with expert guidance when dealing with any home disaster. Drytech's highly trained specialists are available 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. They will work closely with you and your insurance company to make sure the process is stress-free as possible. Call Drytech today, 205-637-0143. The moment you discover damage to your home, Drytech's team will handle the rest.
Stop by the New York Butcher Shop and pick up the finest in certified Angus prime beef steaks and burgers, premium pork chops, ribs, and all-natural chicken cut to order just for you. Their chef-prepared entrees and side dishes are the perfect dinner-to-go choice for your family and are ready to heat at home. With a great selection of fine wines and desserts, the New York Butcher Shop is your one-stop dinner shop. 2 locations to serve you, Cahaba Heights and on Highway 119 in Greystone. The New York Butcher Shop. Rare quality, well-done service.
The next round is brought to you in part by the biggest, baddest track in NASCAR, Talladega Superspeedway. This beast is 2.5 miles of nothing but pure speed and always puts on a great show for the fans. The Yellowwood 500 NASCAR Playoffs weekend is coming and you do not want to miss it. Saturday, September 30th is the Craftsman Truck Series Playoffs race, followed by Sunday's Yellowwood 500 in the NASCAR Cup Series Playoffs. Be there to see drivers battle 500 miles to survive. Get your tickets now at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com.
The Next Round golf card is back and is presented by Urology Centers of Alabama. For $89, play Limestone Springs, Cross Creek, The Meadows, and the renovated Woodward Golf Club. $247 in value for just $89. Or get bonus gifts with the Deluxe Golf Card for $119. No restrictions, good through September of 2024, but supplies are limited. Buy right now at nextround.store.
Do you need extra cash handy? Look no further than Legacy Credit Union for whatever loan your lifestyle requires. It only takes a few minutes to apply and request the amount you need to give you peace of mind. With affordable low rates and manageable payback plans, a Legacy Lifestyle loan is crafted just for you. Apply online today at legacycreditunion.com/join. Lifestyle loans from Legacy. Terms and conditions may apply. Legacy is federally insured by the NCUA.
Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, Ryan Brown, and Rockstar. Live from the Birmingham Racecourse Casino Studios, the next round, presented by Bud Light, is on now.
Questions in Tuscaloosa before a big game. A great week 4 slate. A streak ends in the AP poll. A classic in the Rockies. So much to get into. We'll get some fast reaction brought to you by our friends at NASCAR to start the show today. NASCAR Playoffs weekend coming to Talladega Superspeedway. The place for speed. September 30th and October 1st is Talladega. TalladagaSuperspeedway.com. 200 miles per hour truck race on Saturday. Hardy in concert Saturday night. And then Sunday, October 1st, the Yellowwood 500. Be there at the Talladega Superspeedway. TalladagaSuperspeedway.com. My goodness, where to start? I guess you start with the fact that, hey, Alabama's quarterback issues. You throw 2 more guys out there, and it looks like it's still a question mark. And here comes Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin, who calls plays a whole lot like Sark does, into Bryant-Denny Stadium. -7 is where we were about an hour and a half ago at mybookie.ag. Quick look ahead to Bama and Ole Miss. How you feeling about the Tide, guys?
I don't know how you can feel good. Again, I don't really know how good Ole Miss is. They really stretched that win against Georgia Tech on Saturday. Jackson Dart is an athletic quarterback that can give Alabama's defense some problems. I don't know. I thought this number would come about 7.5. That's where it sits right now. I don't know how you could be confident saying Alabama wins this game by more than a touchdown.
I don't know. You can be confident in anything with Alabama right now. I mean, they are a complete puzzle. Look, I know there are quarterback questions. Is the thing to say. I think maybe you found a quarterback answer, though, in that game. And I think the answer is pretty obvious. You got to stick with Milroe.
Yeah, there's not another option.
I think,
unless you want to, rip the not even a red shirt. I don't know what the plan is for Lonergan.
And here's why. I mean, Milroe obviously, even in his struggles, has looked better, way better than Tyler Buckner. Like, I think you can be done with the Tyler Buckner experiment, right? I think you saw enough of that one that, there's going to have to be multiple guys get hurt before you play Tyler Buckner again. It's not just mop-up duty. I thought Simpson showed some promise. But that offensive line is so bad, and those backs are so bad at protecting the quarterback, you got to go with the most athletic guy. I think the answer is abundantly clear now. It's Milroe.
5 more sacks in one game for Alabama. And Ty Simpson got blindsided twice, where I joked on Saturday night his best trait may be holding onto the football when just getting clocked on a Caden Proctor missed block. And Luganville and I talked about it on Monday Morning Live. To me, the toughest transition any position in college football is from high school offensive lineman to college offensive lineman. And Proctor, who is a great prospect, is trying to do that not just as a role player on the offensive line, but as the every snap left tackle. And if you're a quarterback, and I agree with you, Brown, Milroe's my guy because he can do things that can maybe make up for some holes in that offensive line, which was sold to us going into the year was going to be an asset for this team.
Yeah.
And right now, it's one of the biggest question marks.
It really is. And, 5 sacks they give up to South Florida. Again, I understand guys like Caden Proctor struggling against, a defensive line like Texas with a bunch of 4- and 5-star guys. But when you start struggling against South Florida, and that was a semblance of a game, I mean, for Alabama not to score a touchdown until the second half against South Florida is just amazing.
Yeah, I couldn't believe my eyes. I confess something, this is not really a confession, but I confess something I don't guess I've ever said in our post-game show Saturday was I didn't watch any of Alabama, Louisiana, Monroe back when we were discussing why. I was out of town. If you'll remember, it was the week before Thanksgiving. We were at a family Thanksgiving thing. That was an old school ESPN3. I think you had to be in the state of Alabama to watch it, and I was not. So, I didn't really care to watch it. It's Alabama, Louisiana, Monroe. So I'm willing to say, and now I've thought of one more that I might have to put in here, but I'm willing to say that was the worst game of the Nick Saban era I've ever seen.
A lot of people went back to 2014 Arkansas.
That was 14-13 Alabama win, I think.
Yeah, and Amari Cooper, I think, was the receiver. It was a great Alabama receiver, whoever it was. I think it was Cooper, but I don't know who it was.
Yeah. Oh.
It was one of the great receivers that It was a sluggish game. Alabama's offense looked horrible. He was the only shining star in the game, and that's how Alabama escaped Fayetteville.
You're playing an SEC opponent on the road, though. That's
right.
where I would draw the distinction there between what you saw Saturday and that game. The only other one that comes to mind was that neutral site game in Jacksonville against Florida State. Alabama was awful that day.
Yeah, but they weren't 10 of 23 for 107 yards.
And it might not have been vintage, but I was at least playing Bobby Bowden in Florida State in that game. So I'm willing to say Saturday was the worst game I've seen in the Nick Saban era.
I agree with you guys. Jalen Milroe's got to be the guy.
It's your only option.
But what is it to have a come to Jesus meeting?
What do you mean, what is it?
I mean, it's where, hey, look, it's time that we got to get everything right.
But, if Milroe will have his mind right, if I'm Milroe, I stand on that sideline and I'm like, okay, this is obviously my team.
Yeah. But
I've seen my backups. Yeah.
I'm still bringing them in. Even if it's his team, that's still offensive line is not great.
Yeah.
You've got receivers still dropping passes. So I am having one of those coming to Jesus meetings before SEC play starts. Because if they play like they did Saturday, they'll get beat by double digits again at home.
Yeah. It was the early years of rap and dance music in the 80s, but we called them, in my baseball team, we had the get your back up off the wall meetings.
Okay.
Get your back up off the wall.
Get your back up off the wall. Words. Dance.
That is a lot of words, yeah.
Yeah, let's get some
Come
reaction
Jesus
here.
is shorter.
Here's our shot of the day, brought to you by our friends at Redmond Vodka. Tell us about Redmond.
Yeah, locally owned and operated. They're in clarity and taste, color, and smell. It's vodka perfection. Redmond Vodka made from corn, which not only makes it gluten-free, also provides a smooth finish, no harsh aftertaste, 8 times distilled, available at your local package, including Beverage Place, Pink Package stores, and ABC stores. Ask for it by name. It is Redmond Vodka.
Alex Golish was the offensive coordinator that helped Tennessee beat Alabama last year in Knoxville. He's now the head coach at USF. A lot of portal guys, but this was still a program that's won 4 games since the creation of electricity. I don't know. They haven't won a lot of football games lately. And he had this to say after losing to Alabama 17-3.
Every line can be whatever you want it to be. You can write whatever you want. Man, quarterback shuffle, whatever. I don't care. And there are no moral victories. Ask me that on the radio. Man, valiant effort. Valiant efforts are for losers. Moral victories are for losers. That's what losers say. Winners win. So there are no moral victories. There are no valiant efforts. There are no anything. We played winning football on defense. We played well enough to win football or win that football game.
I mean, I like that attitude.
I do too.
Yeah.
And we played good enough on defense to win that game. And he makes a point. Everyone is never going to give USF credit for their effort. They're going to talk about Alabama's problems. Heck, Texas did get full credit for what they did to Alabama. It was more talked about what Alabama's problems are. We'll see this week if Ole Miss gets any credit, if they do to Alabama what a lot of people think they could do.
I think Alex Golish is probably smart enough to know that if Alabama weren't just seeing what they had at backup quarterback, they lose that game going away.
So you say if they play Jalen Milroe, it's not even a close game.
Not even a close game.
Okay, let's hear why they didn't play Jalen Milroe. And I'd love y'all's reaction to this. Maybe you've sourced it out, Brown. You're great with sources. Anything that may have come out of this. Here's Nick Saban when wasn't even asked about it. He nips it in the bud in the postgame.
And I know you're going to ask me about quarterback, but we're going to evaluate the quarterbacks that played today and evaluate Jalen Milroe in terms of how he played and decide, this week who gives us the best opportunity to be successful as an offensive team, and that's the way we'll go.
And as far as the quarterbacks, what went into playing Tyler and Ty, but not like
Well, I think that's an internal team thing. I think that everybody has the opportunity to respond in the right way when things don't go exactly like you want them to. And, we play the guys that practice the best all week long.
So your thoughts on that comment?
And I know Lance has talked to some people too today, but he said that look, I don't dislike Robert Griffin III the way a lot of Alabama fans do. I think sometimes he does it a little bit differently, and when your team's playing awful, that can wear on you more than normal. But he kept harping on the fact that, I'd go to Jalen Milroe. Nick Saban told Chris Budden at halftime in the interview when she said, why did you go to Ty Simpson? And he said, well, he's the one that competed the best in practice for the number 2 spot. Nick Saban told you everything you needed to know right there. Tyler Milroe did not handle this demotion well this week, Lance.
Yeah, I mean, look, I had a conversation that it was Jalen Milroe. The word I got was pouting this week, and I think the coaches wanted to prove a point. Hey, look, we can win without you. It wasn't pretty. They did win. I don't think they ever really feared losing that game. That's hard to say when you only scored 3 points in the first half. But I think once they got into the second half, they felt like defense was going to win this game for them. They wanted to prove a point. I think moving forward, Milroe's got to get his shit together. But if he does, he's going to be the quarterback.
Yeah, so my question would be, if he was pouting and he was the guy who's been the number 1 quarterback to this point, was anybody else pouting all week long? I mean, we hear all the time from Nick Saban that the team usually decides who the number 1 quarterback is going to be. And I assume since Jalen Milroe was the starting quarterback, he had won over the locker room. And if he was getting less reps in practice, if they were, had opened the job up after the loss of Texas, were offensive linemen and receivers and running backs and linebackers and secondary players, were they also questioning this? Was there division in this locker room going into this game? I wonder, because when you've got quarterback battles, everybody's got their favorite usually.
Well, I think everybody's favorite's got to be Jalen Milroe. Right?
Now that you've seen it.
Yeah, I don't care what clique you were in before, but after watching live bullets fly around the last couple of weeks, I think everyone realizes this has got to be Jalen's team. I don't know what the leadership's like. I really don't. I don't know if you have those guys in the locker room that are very vocal and, hey, let's get our shit together. This is embarrassing. I don't know if those guys exist. We know in the past they did.
Tyler Booker joins us next segment, scheduled to be with us in hour number 2, part of our NIL deal with him. We'll talk to Tyler coming up about that locker room, the situation on the sidelines. He was in street clothes, a jersey, but not dressed to play with his injury. We'll talk to Tyler about all that and everything that went on in Tampa. We'll jump into the Auburn game. They're off to play Texas A&M at College Station. If you're off traveling America anytime into 2024, our friends at JohnstonRVCenter.com can help you out.
Johnston RV Center, I-65, exit 304 in Coleman, 334 indicator. You might know this by now, but Cherokee is the number 1 selling brand of RV in the country. They are also the number 1 selling brand of RV in Alabama, and it just so happens Johnston RV Center is the number 1 selling dealer for Cherokee brand RVs. They start as low as $199 a month there at Johnston RV Center. They also have that great lifetime warranty on anything that is new or under 2 years of age used. You could see it for yourself, JohnstonRVCenter.com, or visit them in person, I-65, exit 304 in Coleman, 334 indicator. It is Johnston RV Center.
A lot of my Auburn friends, even after the trip to Berkeley, they really don't know what they have as a team yet. Peyton Thorne looked a little quicker on his decisions, ran the ball well this past week. They handled a really good FCS team in Samford. Now it's off to Texas A&M. Here's Hugh Freeze, his thoughts on his offense improving since Berkeley.
Just wanted to be balanced, really, and wanted to try to get us some confidence. We're going to have to throw the football some, and and they were playing pretty much the way their safeties were playing. They were getting 8 in the box pretty quick. And because a lot of those throws in the first half were truly off a run game. But, it was the read for Peyton was to throw it based on the numbers. So it wasn't that I don't think we called an extraordinarily large amount. The last series with Robbie, every one of those was runs except for the last one that he completed a ducker for a touchdown. We're just playing within. We're learning the system more and more, hopefully, and feeling more comfortable in it.
Yeah, looked a little bit better, smoother offensively, but now there's no gimme game left. Now here comes Texas A&M on the road. They've got big defensive linemen. That offense will be challenged there, and on the flip side, that defense. We'll find out what you have on the front 7 defensively at Auburn too. Where are you on Auburn, guys? As they get ready to go to Texas A&M?
I think they are getting better. I think they are finding an identity. Brought this up last week. Jay Fair seems like a guy you can trust. Had 7 receptions on Saturday against Auburn. Rivaldo Fairweather is a guy you got to get involved. Yep. Had 5 grabs. And Peyton Thorne, we saw a little athleticism when he was at Michigan State 2 years ago when they had the 11-win season. And you saw it again Saturday. I mean, look, if you're going to be a quarterback in Hugh Freeze's system, you have got to be a mobile quarterback. He had 123 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns. Who had Auburn as the last undefeated team in the state of Alabama? They are that now. South Alabama, Troy, Alabama, all supposed to have really good years.
I would Look, I mean, Peyton Thorne was better, but I mean, if you've ever watched football, you know there's nothing you can do between what he did against Cal and what he did against Samford. It's got to be some opponent, right?
Right.
I mean, I know, look, Samford, I don't mean to take a shot at them. I know they're a good FCS team, but come on now. I mean, some of that's going to be opponent. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend everything is fixed either, right?
Yeah, they're known for their offense in the FCS,
That's
too.
right,
They're
yeah.
not known for their defense.
Yeah, which that was an excellent defensive performance, by the way, by Auburn. I was more impressed by their defense than anything because
100%.
that's a good offense you're playing. But Thorne did get better. I mean, you wanted to see that type of bounce back. He cannot throw interceptions the way he did against SEC opponents. That's just costing you points right there, forcing the football and throwing those interceptions. What continues to be concerning to me is I know Thorne had the 123 rush yards, but between Damari Alston and Jarquez Hunter, I got 62 rush yards on 19 carries. I got to have more than that out of my running backs.
Yeah, I mean, Thorne and Ashford may be your best rushers.
That's alarming. I can't do that in SEC play. I just cannot live on that.
And I don't know if Jarquez Hunter is injured. You see some taping going on sometimes. If he's rusty, if he didn't get the offseason work he needed to get, whatever. But it's a problem. They're going to have to run the ball to beat Texas A&M.
Yeah, and again, going back to what you said about the turnovers, 7 turnovers the last 2 games. You know, you turn it over 3 or 4 times in College Station, you're going to be about 28 points. We'll see. We'll see both sides. How bad is A&M's defense really? I mean, it bounced back this weekend, but that was against La Monroe, and we're going to see if Auburn has a decent offense. They didn't against Cal. It looked better against Samford, but now you go on the road to College Station, and as you said, they've got the dudes. Do you have your dunks on today?
I do not.
In College Station, we got dudes in College Station.
That's what they say.
Well,
Texas A&M, Georgia, LSU next 3 games. Texas A&M, Georgia, LSU.
You'll learn a lot there, I would say. Yeah.
Brutal.
Hey, it's brutal.
You know, the one thing
I'm not sure who the best team in that stretch is, though, by the way.
I know we'll get to LSU. LSU looked great Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But again, Jaden Daniels being the leading rusher every week scares me to death.
Yeah, a lot more to get to, including LSU back in playoff contentions. Georgia, getting good, getting right in the second half against South Carolina. But one more note here after LT tells us about our friends at Simpio, and then we'll jump a little bit quickly before we talk to Tyler Booker into what Colorado did on Saturday night.
One of the first calls we made, if not the first call here in our venture, the next round, I can't believe it's going on year 3 now, was to our friends at Simpio because they're going to take care of the 4 pillars: compliance, HR, payroll, and benefits. Call today, 205-635-7467. On average, Simpio saving companies of all sizes and industries over 18% net of their fees. There is no annual contract. You can sign up at any time of year. With that being said, 99% retention rate. Call them today, 205-635-7467 or Simpio.com.
Final numbers will be in rating-wise today, but overnight ratings, which are not always official, Colorado was easily the most watched game on Saturday, even though it was a 9 o'clock kickoff on ESPN. And they're able to make that call without official numbers because the gap between the most watched game and the second most watched game is that big. So when the official numbers come out today, Colorado and Colorado State, easily the most watched college football game of the weekend.
I'll tell you, it sucked me into game day, seeing Dion up there with the cowboy hat and the blenders on. And the blenders continue to pop up on my laptops all day yesterday.
Did you Google them?
Lunsford's got a pair.
No, I did not Google them. We talked about them, and of course, everything you talk about gets heard, and the algorithms pop up. But yeah, blenders were nonstop all over my computers yesterday. But I got sucked into that, watching The Rock there, Lil Wayne. I mean, it was...
Lil Wayne sang them onto the field at the game.
Live
microphone. He leads them out of the tunnel singing, wraps them onto the field.
This was my man Floyd Mayweather kind of made this a big thing in boxing, and now Dion's bringing it to the college football level. But that atmosphere was so fun. And then they get down, and it looked like, oh, hell, they're going to lose this game. And that was the one game I didn't think they could lose. And just such an incredible comeback. Moving forward, though, this weekend, there's a reason it's 19.5. No Travis Hunter.
Just a horribly coached game by Jay Norvell.
Yeah, before we go forward, let me just put you guys on the spot. It's 4th down and 2. You're up 8. If you get another first down, game's likely over with. Do you go for it there or do you punt it?
Oh, I mean, he punted them to the 2.
He did.
They had not done anything on offense, really. And I know Shadur Sanders is a legit quarterback. I get that. But Travis Hunter's out. I think I would have punted there.
I think I would have gone for it.
I would have gone for it. I was screaming, go for it. When he punted it to 2, I was like, well, that's why he's the coach.
Yep.
That's why he's the coach.
Yep.
But I wanted them to punt because I thought if they go for it, they were going to get it.
Right.
And I wanted to see an opportunity to go to overtime, which we ultimately did. So we had some nice side wagers going on at Club LT.
So then down to the 2, and then Shedeur drives 98.
Very impressive.
But you're not heating them up. You're playing prevent defense. You're giving them a lot of space. Great throw from Shedeur, but then you get into overtime in 35-34, and you can walk them off with a 2-point conversion. I'll ask you there.
I would have gone.
Do you go for 2?
Yep, I would. I thought he was too.
Yeah, I thought he was too, and I'm glad he didn't. Again, I want Dion and Colorado to be undefeated going into this game in Eugene.
Yeah.
But I just thought it was odd that Dion took the ball in overtime.
I don't know if the kid I was so confused by that.
Shedeur was out there. Yeah.
I don't know if he got confused or if Dion doesn't know how the overtime works in college football. I mean, it's the first time he'd coached in one.
It's the first time I've ever seen that.
I've never seen it. I could not figure out why Colorado. It's just so insignificant, the coin toss in overtime. I wasn't even paying any attention, right? Like it was so insignificant because whoever wins the coin toss is always going to play defense first. I've never seen a team take the ball first in overtime.
Because in that first overtime, at that point, if the other guy doesn't score, I can just kick a field goal. Yep. Or if he kicks a field goal, I can play.
You know everything. Yeah.
And so, I always find myself on the wrong side of it. Like yesterday, I had Seattle 5-1. Lance's like yesterday, but we had Seattle plus 4.5. That game ends up going to overtime. Detroit wins the toss.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if they go down and score a touchdown, you lose.
But in college, where you're going to get to, I've never seen a team take the ball first, so I could not figure out why Colorado, their offense came back out on the field. I'm like, how does Colorado have the ball first in both overtimes? I thought the officials had screwed it up somehow.
I did too, but it was, Colorado gets the choice the first time. They chose to have the ball first, and the second time, Colorado State gets the choice first.
Of course, they do the right thing.
We'll play defense again. All right, Tyler Booker, when we come back, we'll talk to Alabama's big O lineman. Hopefully he's healthy and back in the lineup this week as SEC play starts at Bryant-Denny Stadium. The big man, Tyler Booker, right around the corner on TNR.
Follow John Lunsford on Twitter @JLuntz.
It's college football time in Alabama. This is Congressman Robert Adderholt. I grew up an Alabama fan, Roll Tide, but my wife, Caroline, grew up an Auburn fan, War Eagle. But no matter who you pull for, whether it's the Lions of the University of North Alabama or the Gamecocks of Jacksonville State or any other school in between, I want to wish all the players, the coaches, and especially the fans another great college football season here in Alabama. I'm Robert Adderholt, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Adderholt for Congress.
Storm season is here. Make sure you have a plan of action in place right now. Greg from Pell City and Storm Restoration Roofing should be your first call when storms hit. Insurance companies love working with Storm Restoration Roofing because of Greg Nelson's name and reputation in the industry. When storms hit, call Greg Nelson. He's local, 205-542-3531. He's the home of the free no-cost roof inspection. Greg from Pell City on Facebook, 205-542-3531. It's Storm Restoration Roofing.
The 9 o'clock hour is brought to you by the Yellowwood 500. It's the NASCAR Playoff Series at Talladega Superspeedway on September 30th and October 1st. Get your tickets at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com.
Start your day online with our website, nextroundlive.com. The latest videos, podcasts, and college football stories. It's also a great way to stream the show or shop in the Next Round store. Stay connected by visiting nextroundlive.com. That's nextroundlive.com. IV therapy, B12 injections, cryotherapy, and compression therapy all under one roof. It's our friends at Hydra Live Therapy. IV therapy treatments are packed with nutrients to increase energy, reduce stress and anxiety, and boost your immune system, and more. If you mention the Next Round at checkout, save 20% off any service. You can join the IV League today. Members are rewarded with deep discounts. Make sure you ask about that. Hydra Life Therapy open 7 days a week. Homewood, Tuscaloosa, and coming soon to Greystone.
This is for the men who never settle, the ones who miss the fairway all day and still pull out the big stick, the type of guys who will always prefer to be behind the grill than in front of the camera, and the men who never let their friends forget about a high school nickname. This is the Lodge mentality. This is Twin Peaks.
Who wants to settle for a single TV? With more TVs, bigger screens, plus our fabulous scenic views, there's more to watch at Twin Peaks.
As summer bids adieu, get ready to welcome the arrival of fall. But hey, it's not just football season making an entrance. In the world of pest, it's fall invader season. Hold on tight, because we got 4 major troublemakers stepping into the spotlight: box elder bugs, kudzu bugs, ladybugs, and stink bugs. These pests don't just knock, they barge in like they own the place. But fear not, dial up Wayne's Pest Control now, 865-588-6686, and show those fall invaders who's boss. Don't let pests crash your fall. Take charge today.
All right, here we go. Let's get right to him. Tyler Booker standing by. We got 1,000 questions. I hope he has 1,000 answers for us.
He normally does. He's with us on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. Tyler Booker joins us each week courtesy of Craneworks. The big guy says look to the big dog for Craneworks and Rental Works. What is up, Tyler? How are you today?
I'm great. How are you guys doing?
We're doing fantastic. Let's start with a question a lot of people have about you. I know you missed the game because of back spasms. How you feeling? Is the health okay?
Yes, sir. A lot better. I just wanted to, the training staff thought it'd be best I sit out this game and, really heal up rather than going in the game and possibly making it worse. And then we also, as a team, have a lot of confidence in Terrence Ferguson, and he played a great game.
Yeah, okay. Well, it's good. I'm glad to hear you're doing better. I know a lot of people were concerned about you. Obviously, the game did not go the way any of you would have wanted. How hard is it not playing in a game and then watching it maybe not go as you had hoped? It's got to be more difficult than actually playing in the game and it not going the way you hoped.
Yeah, it's really difficult because, as a competitor that I am, I feel like if I was in the game, I would the result would be different. But I had to control what I can control, and all I could control in that moment is just continuing to be a leader, tell the offensive line what I saw, tell them what some tips that can help them, and I feel like I did everything I can on that aspect of it. But everybody played a really solid game up front.
A win is not just a win for Alabama fans. They like winning, and they like winning with a little flash, a little sizzle. Only 3 first-half points for you guys. You do come out of Tampa with a win as you head into SEC play, but were there any ass chewings, whether it was from coaches or internally with players? Because I said it earlier, Tyler, I personally, and I know it's easy for us to sit back on the couch drinking a beer watching you guys, but I personally said earlier that I think there needs to be a come-to-Jesus moment where, hey, we got to get our shit together.
Yeah, and I feel like we had a players-only meeting yesterday, and we pretty much had that. Everybody got a lot of stuff off their chest, and I feel like we're all on the same page now. You know what I mean? It's unfortunate that it took a loss at Bryant-Denny in a subpar game in Tampa for that to happen, but I feel like we're all on the same page now, and I'm actually excited to see how the rest of the season goes since we're all on the same page.
All right, so tell me about, obviously players only meeting. You don't tell me what goes on behind there, but just tell me where this team is as far as united. Was there any fractions this week and in a tough road game? And do you feel like those are healed back up if there was any?
I wouldn't say there were any fractions. I just feel like we just need to put an emphasis on togetherness. I'm not saying that we weren't together, but we're just emphasizing it now. It's emphasizing it more now, That was pretty much the emphasis of the whole meeting, just coming together, supporting each other. Not saying that we weren't doing that before, but we're just putting it on the forefront of everything, because if we all do our job as a unit, as an offensive line, if we do our job, if the running backs do their job, if the defensive backs do their job, if the wide receiver job do their job, there's really nobody that can stop us, But we just all have to execute at the same time when we're supposed to.
How did the team handle the change and the reps that the quarterbacks were getting? Because obviously that's such a high profile position. How did the entire roster, how did the locker room react to that?
We handled it pretty well. I mean, there's nothing that we can do about it. It's not up to us. The only thing that we can do as teammates of the quarterbacks, whoever it could be on any given drive, is to put him in the best position to succeed, because all 3 of those guys, they worked their butts off fall camp, all summer, so they all deserve to play, and we're just excited to see all of them get a chance to showcase their talent.
Alabama's Tyler Booker is with us on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. He's presented each week by Craneworks. The big guy says check out the big dog for Craneworks and Rental Works. Sometimes, though, in a game when you play poorly, you go back and watch film and you realize you were closer than you thought. I know you did not play, but you were in the film studies. I mean, did the film look better than the game did? I mean, was the game a little bit of a liar and the film looked better, or did you look at the film and say, yeah, that's just how bad we were?
I'd say it's a bit of both. It's like, yeah, that's how bad we were, but at the same time, we were on a lot of the plays that were TFLs or sacks. We were like 1 second away from having a bomb. We were one block away from breaking off a big run, But that's we don't live in the world of ifs. We live in the world of what happened, what will happen, So we just got to execute.
When you guys were watching South Florida film, did you see anything from number 0, Daquan Evans? Because the guy had never had a career sack, and he had 3 on Saturday.
Yeah, I feel like that was just really a scheme thing. We know that they brought a lot of pressure. Their defensive coordinator was at FAU last year, so we were watching a lot of their film. But that pressure was bringing him off the edge. That was something that we hadn't seen a lot. But regardless, we still have to be ready for it. We have to be ready for the blitz cars that we don't get during practice, and that's what it's about. That's what being a great offensive line is about, being able to improvise and adjust on the fly. That's something that we definitely have to get better with. But I feel like our chemistry as an offensive line is still there. We still have great chemistry. We still have a great mindset. We just have to put it all together, and that's what we're working towards. But like I said last week, it's a long season, and we're going to get better week by week, and that's the goal.
All right, so here we
week
go.
By week, day by day.
Here we go. Ole Miss comes to town this Saturday, Bryant-Denny Stadium. On paper, there's a defensive coordinator, Pete Golding. You familiar with that guy on Ole Miss?
Name rings a bell.
Yeah. You ever talked any smack to that guy in a practice before? What's it like going against the guy you know so well? You've played against his schemes many, many times.
Yeah, Coach Golding's a great defensive coordinator. He throws I remember last year during fall camp, he threw a lot of stuff at us. He knows how to use matchups really well. So we're very excited to go against him. We're excited for the challenge that he presents, and looking forward to the game this weekend.
You did, it seemed like, at least from the naked eye, run the football better in the traditional run game. Obviously, Jalen Milroe gets a lot of rush yards when he's in there, but he did not play. Mm-hmm. It seemed as though the run game worked a little bit better, especially when your team needed, the 4-minute offense there at the end. Did it feel like you guys maybe had a little bit better run attack this week against South Florida that can move forward against Ole Miss?
For sure, and that's the thing. Once we get in our rhythm, I feel like it's really hard to stop us. But that's the thing. We have to get in our rhythm, and we have to put ourselves in a position as an offensive line to open up the run. Like, we have to pass protect better so we can have them lighten up the box. Like, oh my gosh, like, these guys can pass the ball too. But if we don't allow enough time for our quarterback to throw the ball, they could just load up the box. So we just have to get better at pass protection so we can get to our extensive run game.
So when you got back to Tuscaloosa Saturday night, did you just relax, maybe watch Colorado State? Or is that one of those you want to get out and get away from football?
It's one of those I want to get out and get away from football, especially since I didn't play. I watched the film. I got together with a few of the guys. We just hung out for a little bit, but it was one of those things we wanted to get away from football.
What's the worst when one of us, somebody in the so-called media, asks you about your quarterbacks, or if you're out at a bar and a couple of students come up and like, hey man, you guys need to be playing Jalen? Does that drive you nuts?
Yeah, I don't go to the bar, but whenever
probably smart.
I don't think he's 21.
Whenever we're out to eat, that was the setup. Whenever we're out to eat,
it really wasn't. We had 18 and up when I was down there. So,
Hey, I'm glad to see you smiling because I had a question at the end. I was going to, because we were all so serious. I wanted to see.
Well,
that.
I got a serious question. You want to hold the non-serious?
Yeah, go ahead. I'll save the non-serious one. One more serious.
Okay. Well, because I do want to ask this. Listen, Alabama fans are passionate fans, Tyler. You get that. That's one. I'm sure it's one reason you came to Alabama, because people care. They care about a good product, and you know this, and I'm going to be honest with you, there are a lot of Alabama fans that are panicked right now. What would you tell the Alabama fans that are panicked that this season is not going to go the way they anticipated it going?
Trust the process. It's the same thing that we have to do on a day-to-day basis. Trust the process, trust in us getting better week by week, and just continue to support us, Like, we'll show up for y'all. Y'all continue to show up for us.
Yeah. Okay. Now I leave it on him, Forrester, because I want to see his reaction to this. If I'm right, you're from Philadelphia, right, or New Jersey? Is that where you're from? You're not. Yeah. You keep that pinned at the top that you're from New Haven, Connecticut. What's the story behind there? Where's the Philly Jersey stuff come from?
So I'm like I said, I'm born and raised in New Haven, Connecticut, but I spent my freshman year of high school at Bergen Catholic in New Jersey, and then for the rest of high school, I went to IMG Academy in Florida. So I really I've been gone from Connecticut for a long time, but I wear Connecticut on my sleeve. You know, that's my pride and joy. So I remember when I had like 247 reports written on me, they'll be like, "Oh, New Jersey native, Philadelphia native, Bradenton native." Like, no, from New Haven, Connecticut. So I'd leave that pin just to let everybody know.
Well, hey, in fairness to those recruiting services, not a lot of, big time 5-star guys come out of Connecticut, right? You guys aren't known in the state of Connecticut for big 5-star guys, are you?
Yeah, we're not known for them, but they're on the rise. I was a 5-star from Connecticut. We got Ellis Robinson, top recruit in the country for 2024. He's from New Haven, Connecticut. There's a few guys that came before us. Tariq Black, he went to Michigan and then transferred to Florida. Dwight Freeney's from Connecticut. There's a few. But that's the thing. And when I get done playing in the very far future, I want to go back to Connecticut and really build up the football programs there, so we can have a lot more 5-stars come out of there.
Okay, so you're not a basketball state then.
Did you ever play a snow game?
I have played a snow game. I have. It's very fun.
Not at IMG. Not at IMG. You did. I guess that was when you were a freshman in the other school, right?
Yeah. Freshman when I was at Bergen Catholic in New Jersey.
Okay. All right, he is Tyler Booker with us every Monday, courtesy of Craneworks and Rental Works. The big guy says check the big dog for Craneworks and Rental Works. Tyler, I'm glad your back's feeling better. Hopefully you can get back in the game Saturday. Good luck against Ole Miss.
Thank you. Y'all have a great week. See you.
All right, buddy. Take care. Tyler Booker with us each week, courtesy of Craneworks and Rental Works. He appears, as all of our guests, on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline, the old infamous players-only meeting.
Yeah, more on that in a second, Brown. But NASCAR coming back to Talladega. Hardy's in concert. Your race ticket gets you in to see Hardy. You also have the Truck Series race on Saturday, September 30th, but the big one is the Yellowwood 500 on October 1st at the Talladega Superspeedway playoff race, a chance to advance on with a win at Talladega. Some people be down to the last shot to advance in the playoffs, so go ahead and jump in, get those tickets for the exciting race weekend, September 30th, October 1st, right there at the Talladega Superspeedway.com. Also by our friends at Hydra Life, coming off a big weekend where maybe your team didn't play exactly the way you thought. Hydra Life can make you feel great again.
No, I could use IV therapy right now just to get perked back up. IV therapy, B12 injections, cryotherapy, compression therapy, it's all under one roof. They've got 2 locations in Birmingham. There's one in Tuscaloosa, one in Nashville. Membership has its privileges, too. You can, anywhere you travel that has a Hydra Life, those benefits travel with you. Mention next round at checkout. Save 20% off any service. If you can't make it to Hydra Life, a nurse can come to you for more information. HydraLiveTherapy.com.
Stan says, tell Tyler we'll support him regardless. We appreciate him choosing to wear the crimson jersey. Sharkbait says, South Florida gave up 41 to Western Kentucky, 24 to Florida A&M, 17 to Alabama, which Charles follows up with RELAX, relax.
Don't have time to relax.
Yeah.
I mean, you really don't. Now it's here. Now it's real.
I will say this on I don't players only, that gets thrown around a lot, and I'm not discrediting what Tyler was saying there. I mean, it probably was needed. I just never know what the reaction. If I remember, somebody brought up 2014 Ole Miss. Alabama had lost to or 2014 Arkansas. I'm sorry, Alabama had lost to Ole Miss. They'd gone to Arkansas on the road and had a bad flat performance, 14-13. And they came back and played A&M. And as I remember it, there was a players-only meeting somewhere in that equation, Jim. I don't know if it's after Ole Miss or after Arkansas. And I remember that Bama-Texas A&M game. It was 59-0. Alabama won. And early on in that game, when there was a big play on the sidelines, the Alabama sidelines was going nuts, and the fans went crazy about that. They just wanted to see some emotion out of an Alabama team.
Yeah, and Chris Budden's report during this game said there was 0 on the sideline.
And I remember that vividly, that it was just a big play on the sideline. And, I mean, the guy came over and he got just – I mean, his teammates were jumping on him. Coaches were slapping his helmet. And the fans reacted. They were like, that's what I want to see. I want to see that you care. And I know Alabama fans care, but there are a lot of Alabama fans out there right now. I've heard Lance say it about the Rams. I think I care more than some of the players. I think there are Alabama fans that feel that way right now.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, look, this is one of those, the atmosphere is going to be jacked in Bright Denny.
Right.
And you lose this game, For Alabama fans, the season is over. I mean, you still have everything in front of you. If Alabama wins out, they're in a college football playoff, but there is no room for error now.
This quote that is brought up by Blake over there is being attributed to Ben Garrett. And I don't know how much.
Ole Miss Spirit, I think, is a fan site. That's who Ben works for.
So we can't find any confirmation of this. Forrester and I looked today. I don't know if it's been widely reported. Have you seen this quote from Lane Kiffin?
I've seen the quote, but only from him.
Yeah. So I don't know. He was saying it doesn't look like Kevin Steele's calling plays anymore, that they've known Travaris Robinson, the way he calls plays back to South Carolina. So that's what they're scouting this week. But, I mean, there's the quote right there. I can't find anybody else that I trust that's reporting that yet.
It is weird he's the only one with this quote.
Yeah. And maybe
it was a one-on-one. I don't know.
We were trying to find Lane's, media availability and stuff. So we're searching. If anybody has that, Lane actually saying that, hit us up in our chat room over there. Speaking of the chat room, hello, Wisconsin. Thomas, a Bama fan in Wisconsin, says Roll Tide, roll from Wisconsin, still behind this team. A lot to get to today. We'll keep rolling forward. Joel Klatt joins us at 10:25. Klatt's off to Oklahoma, Cincinnati this weekend for his game after Cincinnati got beat by Miami of Ohio, I believe, this past week. 3 Big 12 teams lost a group of 5 teams this weekend, including South Alabama beating the holy crap out of Oklahoma State in Stillwater.
Boy, and Kane Womack, I don't know if you guys saw the post with him. He was like,
"We've got it.
Yeah.
You want to hear it?
Yeah. I love this.
This game was 24-0 at one point.
Yeah. Cut 11 is Kane Womack. South Alabama, who lost at Tulane, goes to Oklahoma State and just beats the ever-loving everything out of Oklahoma State. 33-7.
Yeah.
And it was really never close. And we're having some audio issues there with Kane. There we go. Here we go. Kane Womack, South Alabama head coach. Hit it, Kane.
Got a couple of fun locker room moments. Where does that one rank? And just talk to us about what happened in there after the game.
Very fun, but not really silly, group of guys that expected to come in here, and if we do our job, we were going to have a dominating performance. That was probably the one thing. Just looking at it, we knew we were a much more physical team coming in, but we had to establish it early, and certainly we did. That was a physically dominating win from the word go, and so that's what we got to continue to build momentum on. And so there was a little bit of, guys are happy, they're having fun, right? But I think they're just proud to play at the expectation that they knew they were capable of, because to be honest with you, we probably left some things out there on the field the last 2 weeks.
33-7, left some things out on the field the last 2 weeks. He said going in, looking at tape, we expected to come in and be more physical than them, and they were.
And that bag drop, if you're in Oklahoma, will you pull that back, Rocky, real quick? For them to roll in, that is a Power 5 that was a play away 2 years ago from going to a college football playoff. Mm-hmm. If I'm Blue Cross Blue Shield of Oklahoma, I'm pulling. I'm like, this campaign is done. That's embarrassing for Oklahoma State.
They got a $300,000 check to win that game that way, too.
Yeah.
You don't normally see the group of 5 just beat down a somewhat respected program, and they beat them down.
Beat them down badly. Good win for South Alabama. Let's don't take away anything from them and make it all about Oklahoma State. Kane Womack's team got it done. James Madison beat Troy in a classic Sun Belt battle this weekend. And Fresno State still unbeaten in the group of 5, looking good. They're 3-0 now. Cost me a stake. We had to break here. Tell us about Harbin's Outdoors when we come back. Much more college football, your best and worst of the weekend, and Joel Klatt at 10:25. What's happening with Harbin?
I had a conversation with our friend Jeremy this morning at Harbin's Outdoors. I've got to finish up my backyard. I got to get that fence done. These dogs are driving me insane. Harbin's Outdoors, award-winning landscape company specializing in installing custom fiberglass pools, landscaping, and hardscaping. You can check out the work on Instagram at Harbins_Outdoors. See it for yourself or call or text Jeremy directly. 205-300-0718. That's 205-300-0718.
Follow The Next Round on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Next Round Live.
Hey, Lance Taylor from the Next Round. You've heard me for years talk about our friends at Bromberg's Jewelers, and we welcome you to stop by and see that great customer service at the Mountain Brook and Summit locations. But we'd also love for you to check out their new online shop. They've got plenty to choose from. Great gifts, big and small. Available online, they've got David Yurman, Tudor watches, select diamond and gemstone jewelry, William Henry, seasonal and favorite giftware items and baby gifts as well. They've even got an online sale section. For more information, Brombergs.com. Hey, Lance Taylor from the Next Round to tell you about one of our favorite places for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That is Hamburger Heaven since 1982. Hamburger Heaven has been serving Birmingham's best hamburgers, cheeseburgers, French fries, hand-spun milkshakes, and sandwiches made fresh to order. All of their ingredients are fresh and prepared daily. This includes their beef, always fresh, never frozen, hand-pattied each and every day. For breakfast, lunch, or dinner, visit any of the 4 locations, Highway 280, Irondale, Gardendale, and Homewood.
DryTech Water Restoration is a locally owned company that specializes in mold remediation, fire and water damage cleanup, and SteraMist services. DryTech's goal is to provide clients with expert guidance when dealing with any home disaster. DryTech's highly trained specialists are available 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. They will work closely with you and your insurance company to make sure the process is stress-free as possible. Call DryTech today, 205-637-0143. The moment you discover damage to your home, DryTech's team will handle the rest.
Don't miss your chance to win at Birmingham Racecourse Casino. Open 24/7, so come on in for non-stop gaming action. You'll find the latest, hottest, most exciting games around, and you'll love the fun bonuses and big jackpots. Plus, you can watch and wager on horse and greyhound races from all over the world. Your best bet for big wins is just minutes away at Birmingham Racecourse Casino, where you can be a winner too. Birmingham Racecourse Casino off I-459, exit 31 Derby Parkway. Must be 21 or older.
The wait is over. Tonali has arrived. Beautifully distinctive Italian styling and performance. Come test drive the all-new 2024 Alfa Romeo Tonali plug-in hybrid at Alfa Romeo of Birmingham. The all-new Tonali offers best-in-class horsepower and torque, fastest 0 to 60 times in its class, plus best-in-class range with full electric charge. And best of all, qualified Tonali leasees are eligible for up to $7,500 EV tax credit factored into your lease. Hurry down to Alfa Romeo of Birmingham and experience the all-new Tonali.
Follow Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. The social media team at Next Round Live is dedicated to giving you daily news conferences and practice video from UAB, Alabama, Auburn, and around college football. Follow and compare to the sites you used to visit. You'll also get the latest highlights and news from the Next Round Daily Show. Turn on the notifications so you don't miss a thing. Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. See more at nextroundlive.com.
Back with you on the Next Round. A couple of our great sponsors here includes our friends at Way to Wellness, your journey to healthy living. Leslie and her board-certified team helped me save literally my life a few years ago. Blood pressure and cholesterol numbers were getting high off the charts. My doctor wanted me to change something, so I tried to change the way I eat and consume some bad foods for me. That's when I went to Leslie, her board-certified team at Way to Wellness. You can find a plan for you there as well. The website is aplanforme.com, aplanforme.com. No contracts, no sign-up fees. Your first consultation's free. There's no cookie-cutter plan. It's specifically designed for you. That free consultation allows Leslie to get to know you, what you're trying to do, whether it's weight loss or control some other vital signs there. It's all with our friends at Way to Wellness, your journey to healthy living. And also by the great folks at Hemp Hill Services, LT. Little nip in the air, 59 degrees when I cranked the car this morning to come in here.
I think I'm doing chili tonight.
All right.
Really? Sat outside last night.
Just for the record, you mean the food, not your dog.
Jesus.
Well, I mean,
the open mouth kissing.
Yeah,
I've heard a nip in the air.
Yes, I've heard some of the things you've said about her.
But our friends at Hemp Hill, 0% for 60 months for qualified customers, plus free 10-year labor warranty when you mention the Next Round. Call Adam, Chad, Andrew, the guys at Hemp Hill Services. Make sure that HVAC unit ready to keep up with the changing weather. Hard to stop a train. Do it now. 205-229-2090 or hemphillservices.com.
Clean up a little dead wood here. You have some confirmation on the lane Lane Kiffin comment.
Yeah, he did say it. He said it on a teleconference that he does for the local media there in Oxford. That's why there's no audio or video of this. It's just on a little teleconference he does for the guys that cover the team locally there. But he has since come back and tweeted it. SI.com did a story on it, and he retweeted the story. So Kiffin is standing behind it. And it wouldn't blow me away. You know, I thought, Dunaway, that the whole Austin Armstrong thing, I felt like maybe Alabama, and this was just a gut feeling of mine. Nobody had told me this. It just seemed that way. Austin Armstrong was a defensive coordinator already. He left to come be a position coach in Tuscaloosa. Kevin Steele is a guy who's in the twilight of his career. I always kind of thought Alabama brought Austin Armstrong in to groom him under Kevin Steele to be a future defensive coordinator for Nick Saban. He left and took the Florida job. By the way, had a great night Saturday night in that Florida job. And it wouldn't surprise me if T-Rob is the same way. If maybe this is, okay, Kevin Steele and you are going to kind of handle this together, and he's going to bring you along and show you this is the way Nick Saban expects a defense to be called because he's done it a lot, right? It wouldn't blow me away that that's the case, and maybe the handoff has already happened.
Hemphill brings you best and worst of the weekend. Sharkbait jumps in and says best of the weekend for him. Graham Mertz, is it the Tennessee win or his hot girlfriend Alexis Lumons? Wow, he says. Mertz did look better. Florida looked so much better prepared for this game than they did at Utah, where they, had so many bad coaching mistakes. Mertz played better. Etienne ran the ball better. And I think on the flip side of that, Tennessee is questioning themselves on whether Joe Milton's their quarterback long-term, if they trust Joe Milton or not. Big win for Billy Napier.
Yeah, look, I said this last week, and I said, look, this is kind of common sense, but whoever runs the football more efficiently is going to win that game. And Trevor Etienne, as you mentioned, 172 yards. Florida had 183 on the ground. Tennessee had 100. That was the difference. They jumped on them early, though. That second quarter was dominant from Florida. And if I'm a Tennessee fan, I've got concerns.
It was just one fan, Dunaway, one fan. All right, so this is far from a representative sample, but I was at lunch yesterday after church, and a Tennessee fan came up to me and said, just by the way, I don't know if it'll come up on the show with you guys tomorrow, I'm ready for Amelieva. I mean, he was ready to move on. And I know that's frustration after a loss at a place where you always lose.
Remember last week when I told you that, all the Alabama fans after the Texas loss, I want to see Buckner, I want to see Ty Simpson. And I said Alabama fans have a historical record of not knowing what they really need. It's not usually what they want. I think you got a good dose of wanting something and not needing something this past Saturday. I'd be careful on Nico Amelieva as well, though Joe Milton offers many concerns to me because he's done this a lot longer than Jalen Milroe has.
I will say, if Tennessee wants to test it out, I don't know Frank Harris' status for UTSA.
It's a toe injury, and it's going to be one of those. I think it's going to give him trouble all year long.
But he was out against Army. I don't know if they were holding him out thinking they could beat Army without him, get him ready for Tennessee. Maybe that was the case. I don't know.
That's the way it looked as I watched that game. Now, they lose to Army. They've got defensive issues. But I do think before the season started, UTSA had circled this game at Tennessee thinking it was a statement game, and now they've lost twice
they're 1-2.
Before going there. They're a 1-2 team.
Yeah, so I don't know that you can do what Alabama did if you're Tennessee, but if you're going to look at Amelieva, their next four after that are South Carolina, Texas A&M, at Alabama, at Kentucky. So you better get a good look at him against UTSA if you want to see him, because it may be too late.
Again, accuracy has been the question with Joe Milton. I still think he's your best option right now. Time will tell. I think Tennessee looks to be like an 8-4 team maybe, and Florida's right back to where they were last year. I really don't know what to expect.
We have one big win and one surprising loss. You don't know what you're going to get.
But I saw Mertz's girlfriend, and I'm going to go on and say that Saturday Down South did a little piece on her last night. She would be what you would call an influencer. Just based on the pics that she that they're showing.
You can find her in a bikini fairly easily, is what you're telling me.
You can, Brown, yes. Nasty buzzard, nasty snake, by the way.
NH3425, best of the weekend. Love the Sacramento State upset of Stanford. Thorne finally playing well. Florida win. Worst of the weekend, UAB, and Joe Milton is a bust right now. UAB gets it handed to him by Louisiana a little bit. They're on their way to play number 1 Georgia this weekend.
Yeah, that game got away from UAB quick. Okay, Scott is showing us Graham Mertz. There appears to be a leather top there.
It seems like that would be tough to get on and get off.
I think you just do it for the photo shoot. I bet she ain't going clubbing in that.
Why is she pouting?
It shows your pouty
a
face.
sultry look.
It shows your pouty face.
Was that a pouty
By
face
the way,
after the Utah loss?
I don't know.
That is one of her worst looks
Oh,
based
yeah?
on the pics I saw.
Yeah,
That looks like
way to go, Forrester. Way to pick the
no,
worst look of all.
I'm just saying.
Is that Graham Mertz's best look? Because either way,
is anybody looking at Graham Mertz?
Either way, that should be a dream bubble instead of a reality bubble right there. That should be what he's dreaming of his girlfriend looking like.
Look, your girlfriend should look like her if you're the starting quarterback at Florida.
Interesting.
I don't think that's 100% always true, but I see what you're saying. All right, there you go.
Yeah. And by the way, he was efficient. That's exactly what Napier brought him
Efficient doesn't land that, by the way.
No, you're right. Yeah, I think he's a little better off the field than he is on.
Yeah.
But look, if you can just sling it around a little bit, 19 and 24, 166 yards, didn't turn the football over with Montrell Johnson and ETN. Those guys can, absolutely get after it. So that's going to be this offense. It's not going to be the fun and gun that we remember back in the day or anything Urban Meyer had. But if you can have an efficient offense, doesn't turn the football over, play to your defense, Florida can beat some teams.
Krusty's right. Early Pam Anderson there.
I saw a little Pam
Anderson.
I saw that too, yeah. Billy Napier calling that time. Josh Heupel calling that timeout at the end of the game was Bush League, and it almost led to a bunch of guys getting suspended. I don't know what Heupel was doing there. The game is over. Let the clock run out. They beat you fair and square. You made a ton of mistakes.
Did not handle it well.
He called a timeout to be a jerk.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt he did. And it almost led to a fight.
Rockstar, give me cut number 15 before we get to the top of the hour. Heupel was upset because of some calls.
And he should have been. I don't think those were very good calls.
Okay, yeah, there were a couple of calls that didn't go well.
I agree.
But then when they were going for the fourth down, it was an officiating mistake that caused Florida to allow Florida to substitute and more time to get ready for a fourth down play instead of the quick rush up and Joe Milton pushing forward. When the referee kicks the ball and they have to stop the process and reset the ball before the snap, Heupel livid afterwards.
I guess the official kicked the ball, moved the ball, then respotted it, and then they allowed them to sub on that deal.
Is there a rule on that? Are they supposed to be allowed to sub after the ball's respotted?
Why? It's been a long time since I've seen an official kick the ball. You gotta go check the rule book.
And look, that was a dick move for him to call the timeout. I still like Heupel. But you guys remember when we had, who did we have on that was talking about tempo in there? It was Grant Firking.
Yeah.
And he talked about tempo playing there last year, that they made sure their receivers have to throw the ball to the official. Or no, they run it out because they don't trust the official to catch it.
That's right, yeah.
Officials, they said, are traditionally bad catchers. They don't catch the ball
Hand
well.
it to them, don't throw it to them.
They're older, and when you're spinning, throwing the ball underhanded differently, comes at different paces, they're not good at catching the ball.
Yeah, so I can only imagine how pissed he would be if an official kicks the ball.
On the other side, I would give Austin Armstrong credit for having the subs ready to go. I mean, because to Herb Street's point, or it was the official guy, whatever, you're risking doing it. I mean, if Tennessee can get on it and snap it quick, you're going to have 12 on the field. I mean, there was risk in Florida doing that, but you'd like to see the official not kick the ball. I mean, it did hurt Tennessee there. There's no doubt. But they also had another one, I think, on a crackback block that was not a crackback block.
I didn't think so either.
Yeah, he got some bad calls. There's no doubt
he
they got
did.
bad calls.
There was a bad holding on a receiver that was not called.
Yeah.
I'm not one that thinks the officials, do it intentionally. But if I was a Tennessee fan, which I'm not, but if I was a Tennessee fan watching that game, I sit there and watch that game going, oh, that didn't look good. Oh, that one went against us. It seemed like more calls went against you than went in your favor in that situation. Top of the hour now, the show being brought to you by the great folks at Alabama Power, who are trying to give you more options to make life easy and for you to control your account. And that includes the digital wallet right now you get with our friends at Alabama Power. It is secure and it offers convenient payment options and a way to stay on top of your account all the time. All you have to do to get in that digital wallet and get into a suite there to where you can manage your power bill all the time. Just go to alabamapower.com/digital tools, alabamapower.com/digital tools. We're back in a moment on TNR.
Take the next round anywhere you go with official Next Round gear. Buy yours today at nextround.store.
Hey, Lance Taylor from the Next Round to tell you about one of our favorite places for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That is Hamburger Heaven since 1982. Hamburger Heaven has been serving Birmingham's best hamburgers, cheeseburgers, French fries, hand-spun milkshakes, and sandwiches made fresh to order. All of their ingredients are fresh and prepared daily. This includes their beef, always fresh, never frozen, hand-pattied each and every day. For breakfast, lunch, or dinner, visit any of the 4 locations, Highway 280, Irondale, Gardendale, and Homewood. Hey, Lance Taylor from the Next Round to tell you about our friends at Gutter Cap. Gutter Cap's that patented aluminum cover system that fits over most existing gutters to keep out debris and eliminate that gutter cleaning. It's backed with a lifetime warranty, almost 20-year service record right here in Birmingham. Stay off that dangerous ladder forever. 45% off the retail price now if you call guttercapbirmingham.com. Call my good friend Chris Stewart now, 205-823-2212. Cap it, don't snap it. It's Gutter Cap.
It's time to get out and enjoy the summer of 2023. Ocean City, Maryland, and your hotel family at Residence Inn by Marriott Ocean City is ready to welcome you. Kayak from our Bayside Beach, swim in the Atlantic, dine at our Bayview Bar and Grill, span the 2.5-mile-long Ocean City Boardwalk, and a lot more. See all this plus irresistible summer deals and packages online at residenceinoc.com. Check us out on Instagram and Facebook. Do something different this summer. Residence Inn by Marriott Ocean City, Maryland.
Follow Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. The social media team at Next Round Live is dedicated to giving you daily news conferences and practice video from UAB, Alabama, Auburn, and around college football. Follow and compare to the sites you used to visit. You'll also get the latest highlights and news from the Next Round Daily Show. Turn on the notifications so you don't miss a thing. Follow Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. See more at nextroundlive.com.
Stop by the New York Butcher Shop and pick up the finest in certified Angus prime beef steaks and burgers, premium pork chops, ribs, and all-natural chicken cut to order just for you. Their chef-prepared entrees and side dishes are the perfect dinner-to-go choice for your family and are ready to heat at home. With a great selection of fine wines and desserts, the New York Butcher Shop is your one-stop dinner shop. 2 locations to serve you, Cahaba Heights and on Highway 119 in Greystone. The New York Butcher Shop, rare quality, well-done service.
The Next Round brought to you by the biggest and baddest track in NASCAR, the Talladega Super Speedway. The Yellowwood 500 NASCAR Playoffs weekend is coming up. You don't want to miss it. The action kicks off Saturday, September 30th with the Craftsman Truck Series Playoffs race, all leading up to the NASCAR Cup Series Playoffs on Sunday, October the 1st. Be there to see these drivers battle for 500 miles to survive and advance to the next round of the playoffs. Get your tickets now at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com. Again, that is TalladegaSuperspeedway.com.
Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, Ryan Brown, and Rockstar. Live from the Birmingham Racecourse Casino Studios, the Next Round, presented by Bud Light, is on now.
We start this hour off brought to you by our friends at Maestro Dobel Diamante Tequila, the first multi-age tequila aged using wood barrels that come from the Balkan region of Eastern Europe. You say that's probably unique in tequila. It is. The only tequila I know that actually does that, right? And it makes for this unbelievable, balanced and crystal clear, smooth tequila. 100% natural process. You got to try it to believe it. It is a pleasant contrast to some of those harsh tequilas that you probably have tried in the past. It is the best tequila out there, Maestro Dobel Diamante Tequila. Before we jump too far into the rest of this segment as we continue best and worst of the weekend, brought to you by our friends at Hemp Hill, we always want to push you over to lanceslock.com. Lance wanted to say a little bit about the weekend as well.
No, look, here's one thing that we'll start doing along with your parlays on Saturday morning on our pregame. I will give you the games that I struck last, and so I would have been 13-7 this week in college football if I wouldn't have struck the last 5 games. They all 5 hit. We were still 8-7 on our units. We were up on Saturday, 5-1 yesterday in the NFL. And we have both sides, doubleheader Monday Night Football tonight. You've got the Saints in Carolina. You've got Cleveland and Pittsburgh. We've got both sides up right now at lanceslock.com. Jump on board. We are going to win for you.
Lanceslock.com. And I think I'm really bad at picking games. So when I send them out, that's just basically so y'all can laugh at me. Lance's official plays always at lanceslock.com. But I found out I am not the worst prognosticator in all of the media. That belongs now to our friend Andy Staples, who posted this going into week 3. He liked Mississippi State plus the points, loss.
Ouch.
Tennessee giving the points, loss. Colorado giving the points, loss. Kansas State giving the points, loss. Michigan State getting the points, loss. Georgia giving the points, loss. Bama giving the points, loss. And under the Western Michigan, Iowa of 42.5. Iowa scored 41 of their own, loss.
Normally a safe bet.
Oh, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 0-8, 0-11 on the year.
Yeah, let me tell you this. It might be harder to go 0-11 or just as hard to go 0-11 as it is to go 11-0. That's really, really difficult to do.
I can't find my own lane. I try to be the worst prognosticator, and here comes Staples rolling in, flexing on a slate like that.
I talked about you last week, though. We had a conversation that you try, if you went back to old school Dunaway, you could be really bad again.
You tried to play opposite.
Do we need red hats
Dunaway.
that say make Dunaway bad again?
Yeah, you tried to be opposite Dunaway Saturday. How'd that work?
Just like when I tried to be good Dunaway. It was about 500 again.
You overthought it?
Slightly worse.
Yeah.
Slightly worse. Alabama, I was listening to Barrett Salee and Luganville on Sunday, Sirius XM, and I was going to church, and I just caught them. I don't know what line Barrett was looking at, but he said Ole Miss, Alabama opened at -11.
I think that was Michael Casagrande tweeted that from AL.com. I'm going to guess, because I've never seen it anywhere, I'm going to guess that was one of those
Bet online or something like that.
No, one of those look-ahead lines that you can get all the way up until game week.
Yeah, they were.
That thing opened at 6 everywhere. I saw it.
Yeah, the numbers were all over the place, and I thought that would be about right, would be about 6.
I mean, I saw Circa, which is one of the first ones to come out, had it at 6.
It's -7 this morning at mybookie.ag, so it's moved up.
Yeah, mybookie.ag, I think, opened it at 6.5 is where I saw it there. DraftKings had it at 6.5. I just think Michael maybe saw a number that was one of those look-ahead numbers that you can play until the actual number comes out.
Or maybe he was pointing out that, hey, at one point this was an 11-point betting line. It's very different now after seeing these teams on the field. Ole Miss and Alabama go 2:30 on CBS this week. Brown, it's good to have Gary back in town this week for CBS. Well, what? No,
nope, you're not
they're telling me. They're telling me in my ear that he's not in town this. No, Gary Danielson.
No Gary Danielson. I don't know, Reichster.
Well, that's unfortunate. Why is he not going to be there?
Because he's doing the Big Ten.
So
who they got? They got Iowa and who? Penn State?
Iowa and Penn State, the whiteout game in Happy Valley.
Yeah. Undefeated. Iowa's offense exploded in the second half. We had the over there opposite of Staples. We got there because of a contract.
Yeah, I don't know who they're on. Oh, yeah. I don't know who their analyst is, so I don't know who you're getting.
We've got CBS back, though.
No, it is. CBS back on DirecTV. That's a big win, so you can watch it. I spent all that time going to get those stupid antennas that didn't work.
I had no idea. I just tried it out yesterday because Saturday it wasn't working. I threw it up yesterday, and it was working.
Yeah.
Do we have the updated Iowa coaches graphic?
Here we go.
All the way out to the 85-yard line now. 41 points from Iowa. And Brian Ferentz now only has to average, I think, 24 points a game now to get there.
I think they might have some problems against Iowa or against Penn State.
Yeah. 41 against Western Michigan is different than this week. But quickly out to the 85. He might not go all the way, but we'll find out. They're feeling better as Iowa and Penn State goes to a really good slate. We'll talk about this upcoming slate throughout the week, but we'll continue with best and worst of the weekend right now. And that look ahead to the Week 4 slate, thanks to our friends at Storm Restoration Roofing. 205-542-3531. 205-542-3531 to get in touch with Greg from Pell City for a free no-cost roof inspection. A-plus rated with the Better Business Bureau, locally owned for over 20 years, and really trusted by the insurance companies. You should trust him, too, for that free no-cost roof inspection. 205-542-3531 or Greg from Pell City. It is Storm Restoration Roofing. Ohio State Notre Dame is the headline game. 6:30 on NBC in prime time. And this truly does feel like a toss-up game to me. Ohio State rarely plays in South Bend. They're going there now. And you've got Kyle McCord, who had his, I think, best game to date this past weekend.
He did.
And Sam Hartman of Notre Dame, who's completing 71% of his passes right now. This is shaping up to be a great contest.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I mean, it was kind of surprising last year how tight the game was. And now you've got this game at Notre Dame. Notre Dame's playing with a ton of confidence. Sam Hartman, veteran quarterback, doesn't turn the football over. This will come down to Kyle McCord. Can he handle the nerves? If he plays like he did Saturday, again, it's going to be night and day defenses from Western Kentucky to what you get with Notre Dame. But if he can play like he did Saturday, Ohio State will be fine.
Yeah, I mean, and we've at least seen Notre Dame be a little bit tested at NC State. I mean, a little bit. I don't know what I'm getting out of Ohio State. I mean, Western Kentucky, I'm not going to – I know McCord played better, but I'm not going to go crazy about a win over Western Kentucky. I mean, that's a game vintage Ohio State should be winning that way. I've seen Hartman have to go on the road and do this. Now he's going to do it at home. I don't know. It's a fascinating game. It really, really is. The more and more I've watched, the more I like Notre Dame and what they're doing.
Yeah, Penn State, who did not beat Illinois the way we expected this past weekend, playing host to Iowa. And Michigan's J.J. McCarthy had 3 interceptions as they play host to Rutgers now, who's unbeaten in 3-0. Rutgers beat Virginia Tech. Those are sort of the 3 biggest teams you're watching in the Big Ten. They're not playing each other yet. It'll be interesting to see, what they look like in those a little more trying schedules this weekend.
Yeah, look, Luke Altmaier threw 4 picks, and that was really the difference in that game where Illinois loses ultimately by 17 to Penn State.
That was a misleading score, though.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
Penn State completely dominated that game, but you can't turn the football over like that.
Yep.
And J.J. McCarthy, that really surprised me with the 3 turnovers.
Yeah, that's something he has not been doing. That was the last no Jim Harbaugh game. He returns this weekend. Pac-12 has a trio of good games this weekend. Oregon State, Washington State, 2 top 25 teams, UCLA and Utah. Utah keeps winning no matter who the quarterback is. That's in Salt Lake City. That's a good game. And then, of course, Colorado and Oregon. Most watched team last weekend, Colorado and Colorado State. Now it's a battle of 2 top 25 teams and really 2 Heisman contenders in Shadur Sanders and Bo Nix at quarterback.
Yeah, but Travis Hunter is going to be out, it looks like, extended time. He took a bad hit early in that Colorado State game that led to one of 8 million penalties in that game.
Unofficially a spleen injury.
Yeah, it looks like they were saying 2 to 3 weeks, so I don't think you're going to see him in this game. That is a huge loss. Just against Colorado State, Lance, it was noticeable in their offensive production without Hunter out there.
It's going to be a different team without Travis Hunter, and I think that's one of the reasons this number is at 19.5, 20. It's kind of floating around. For Utah, though, Cam Rising should be back. I talked to Brock Hewitt on Unlocked last week. He's going to be on that game for Fox, and he said that they're going to hold him one more week, and he'll be ready for UCLA. So that's going to be a great matchup to watch Dante Moore, the true freshman, go against Cam Rising, a guy that's got a ton of experience.
By the way, if I were an AP voter, I know y'all love the way I vote, I would consider having Washington in my top 5. I'm not sure. I'm not so sure they're not the best team in the
Washington should be in the top 5.
Let's talk later on about that. That's much bigger than squeezing it in right in this segment, Brownie, right here. Slice brings us 4 downs every day. Great folks at Slice Pizza. LT, you talk about a wonderful place to grab a little lunch. I love getting that 1 slice and a salad every day with our great friends at Slice.
Yeah, you can get the 1 slice and a salad. You can get the 2 slices and a salad. Great lunch specials, of course. That carry-out special available at all 4 locations. You can get that. 12 of the fire-baked wings. You can get the 2 specialty pizzas and the half pan of salad, all for $75. Any of the 4 locations. For more information, slicebirmingham.com.
First down.
Bigger surprise being ranked 3 weeks into the season, Duke or Florida?
I'm gonna say Florida after what I saw in the Utah game, Brown. They looked mismanaged by their coaching staff, and they looked like they did not have a lot of talent in the trenches. And then that flipped around against Tennessee. I knew Duke was going to be good when they beat Clemson. They're going to be ranked until they lose. So I'm going to say Florida surprised me that they're ranked now.
Yeah, I think so. I think when you look, Lance, in the preseason, those both at Utah and Tennessee at home look like very losable games. So if you had told me in the preseason, hey, they're going to be ranked after week 3, I knew they won one of them, right? So I think I'm a little bit more surprised at Florida, especially after seeing them against Utah.
Look, I think Mike Elko's a fantastic coach, and Duke is 3-0, but Duke had to be 3-0 to be ranked. That means beating Clemson at home.
I know.
So I think I would lean Duke here.
Second down.
Who do you believe more in, North Carolina or Oklahoma?
Well, I mean, Oklahoma really hasn't been tested yet, but right now the only 2 ranked Big 12 teams are Texas and Oklahoma. And will they be in the Big 12 next year, Brownie?
No, I think they're both SEC teams.
They'll be SEC teams next year. Texas and Oklahoma, the only 2 Big 12 teams that are ranked in the latest AP poll. I think Dylan Gabriel has been really fantastic settling into the Levy offense. Brent Venables looks like he's improved that defense, but again, haven't been tested yet. Road trip to Tulsa is not going to do it for me.
Really, that doesn't get your attention.
It doesn't yet. And then now they're going to Cincinnati, who just got beat by Miami of Ohio. I don't know when they get tested, But I'm going to say I believe more in Oklahoma than I do North Carolina.
I think I do too. They don't get tested, Jim, until the Red River because their next two, as you mentioned, at Cincinnati, who just had a bad loss, and then they play Iowa State, who is awful right now.
Yeah.
So
bad look for Matt Campbell. By the way.
It really was. Had to be held back by security after a heckler told him he was on the hot seat.
Yeah,
and the heckler was doing it 100% for video and reaction.
That's right. It was set up. It was a setup.
It was a complete setup. But Campbell can't be that thin-skinned. They're going to be 5-0 going into the Red River. That's going to be undefeated. People are going to be making a huge deal about that game. We'll learn. I think I know what Texas is. In spite of the way they played against Wyoming, we'll learn about Oklahoma, but I'm still going to say Oklahoma over North Carolina.
Yeah, I'm going to go Oklahoma too. North Carolina, people are going to say, hey, defense bounced back against Minnesota. Minnesota's got a major quarterback problem. You know, they found their running back in Darius Taylor, but they don't have a quarterback.
Seems to be a theme in college football at a
There's
lot of places.
Of it,
yeah. Third. I would go Oklahoma.
Yep.
Third down.
More overrated ranked team right now, Iowa or Colorado?
Iowa. I mean, you have to give it to Colorado now. I mean, they played TCU, Nebraska, and Colorado State. Colorado State was the worst by far of those teams, and they were challenged in that contest. But what has Iowa done? Iowa's there by reputation only. Colorado's there because they put on a show. I mean, TCU this past weekend, they shut out Houston, I believe. I mean, right now, probably neither one of them will be ranked at the end of the year.
Yeah.
But I if Colorado had played Alabama on Saturday, how would you have felt about that game?
I don't know. On Saturday, Alabama would have been starting Milroe against Colorado.
Well, and Alabama would have been a 24-point favorite, and I probably would have had my mortgage on it.
Yeah. On Alabama,
and
giving the
lost.
point. Yeah. So you'd have been living in a van down by the river,
or in the green room.
Yeah. You slept in there.
That's my emergency plan.
I don't know. I don't think either one of these teams will be ranked at the end of the year, but I'll tell you, Colorado's just fun to watch.
They are fun to watch. It's a show. There's no doubt it's a show, and the numbers are proving it. They've been number two, and now number one in TV ratings the first 3 weeks. That's incredible. Yeah. That's an incredible accomplishment. Just that alone by Dion Sanders.
And hats off to their jersey room, who are printing jerseys quickly for celebrities and throwing their names on the back really quick to have a number 2 Lil Wayne jersey ready to go just like that. That was small man size, so he could get out there and wrap the team onto the field. That was a show.
Prime has now said that it's 3 weeks for Travis Hunter, so that is a massive loss on both sides of the football. I mean, that's a guy, you're losing 2 players right there.
Yeah, Oregon, USC. I don't know who they have in the third week, but Oregon, USC is all you need to know.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now, they've got Oregon, USC, and then at Arizona State. Arizona State's got major quarterback problems with the injuries.
They had 8 turnovers, Lance.
Yeah.
How do you turn over 8 times?
Rashada didn't play.
He did not.
No,
but
Fourth down.
8 turnovers, Jim, in that game against a late-night game, if you stayed up and watched that one against Fresno.
So we've got a couple of celebrity birthdays. The late James Gandolfini, Tony Soprano, R.I.P., would have been 62 today. Lance Armstrong is 52. Better career.
I mean, Lance Armstrong was the best in his business. I think Gandolfini, unfortunately, and Armstrong was cheating, obviously, but Gandolfini, unfortunately, got typecast. I don't know what kind of actor he would have been outside of the only other.
Very, very good actor.
Yeah, I think he is. The only role I can remember. Do you remember the movie? It was Robert Redford, a military prison movie.
The Last Castle.
The Last Castle, and he plays the warden rock star.
I never saw it, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's not a bad flick, actually.
I've never seen it. He was in The Mexican. Never saw that.
He was against cast in Mexican. He was good in Mexican.
The Drop was okay. I thought he was good in True Romance.
Yeah.
As a hitman.
I think I'd still go Lance Armstrong, though.
Yeah.
I think I would go Gandolfini just because of the scandal with Armstrong.
Yeah. One man walked on the moon, the other man walked into the bada bing, and he owned the place, right?
He did.
Lance Armstrong, not Neil Armstrong.
Yeah, Neil Armstrong was.
Yeah. So we're going Lance Armstrong?
Yes.
Yeah. Neil's son, Lance.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I'm going to go with with Gandolfini then.
Gandolfini, yes.
Gandalf from the Lord of the Rings.
Excellent answer by you, Dunaway.
Probably should listen to the question more.
And that was 4th down.
That was 4th down. Again, 4 great locations of sliced local pizza, local ingredients, run by the Bajalia brothers. Get in. Tell them the next round sent you. The original in Lakeview, one of Vestavia, Montevallo, now Crestline Park, slicebirmingham.com.
Joel Klatt coming up in the second. The show also being brought to you by the great folks at NASCAR. Playoff race Coming back to the world's fastest speedway, September 30th and October 1st. The trucks on the Saturday the 30th. Hardy in concert, great country star Hardy in concert Saturday night. And then Sunday, the Yellowwood 500. These are playoff races for both series, and your ticket gets you to the Hardy concert as well. TalladegaSuperspeedway.com, TalladegaSuperspeedway.com. And we're talking about the world's fastest speedway, door handle to door handle racing up to 200 miles per hour. You can't beat Talladega just for people watching. Throwing great racing and a great country music concert. You can't beat it. TalladegaSuperspeedway.com. More of the best and worst of the weekend as we continue on here. A lot of people saying best of the weekend belongs to Malik Neighbors of LSU. Beat down to Mississippi State 41-14. 13 targets, 13 catches for Malik Neighbors. Every time they threw it to him, he caught it.
Yeah, and Jaden Daniels, by the way, was putting it right on him. He wasn't having to make circus catches. Yeah. These were excellent throws by Daniels, and State was never in that game. Not 1 second were they ever in that game.
Will Rogers hates this LSU team because he was awful last year. 11 of 28, 103 yards. This year, boy, that was just bad football from Mississippi State. And LSU, that's the LSU team I thought we would see from day one.
Yeah, but I think, other than what Florida State did at BC this weekend, that Florida State team played at a championship level against them. I thought we were flushing LSU too soon, and they adjusted. They freed up Harold Perkins, who was able to make more plays in this game.
They had him in coverage, though, and then the very next play he had a sack. So I really believe they're just like, we can play this guy anywhere.
Yeah, keep an eye on Logan Diggs, who has returned and played a little bit for LSU, running the football he did there, trying to help that LSU running game to take a little heat off of Jaden Daniels there so he doesn't have to be the leading rusher every week.
Yeah, I agree completely. But if Neighbors continues to play I don't know, man. I mean, I just continue to – the college football is so perplexing this year because as bad as they looked in that fourth quarter against Florida State, they look like the best team in the SEC in the first half at State. But then I don't know if State's any good. I don't think they're very good. They weren't Saturday. Harold Perkins is becoming more and more of the player we thought Harold Perkins was going to be.
I'm back on it, and once I say this, Arkansas will spring the upset as 17.5-point underdog. I think LSU's the best team in the SEC.
Arkansas and LSU, 6 o'clock on ESPN coming up this weekend. Quinn Ewers, by the way, in his Get Back to Earth game after beating Alabama where he was near perfect through 3 quarters, tied 10-10 with Wyoming. He had thrown the ball for 87 yards in 3 quarters. Now, they woke up in the fourth quarter. They win it going away 31-10, but that's a closer game than it looked like for Texas as they move forward now, very much in the playoff race. They're up to number 3 in the latest AP poll. The new rankings are out. Georgia, Michigan, and Texas, Florida State, USC, all from different conferences, all in the top 5 of college football. Alabama's down to 13. More on their drop a little later in the show. We'll talk to Joel Klatt. He's up next with us. Michelson Laser Vision bringing you this part of the show today.
Yeah, 205-969-8100. That is the number you need to call. Stop procrastinating. If you wear the glasses, you wear the contacts, you're wasting money each and every year. I'm speaking from experience. Got the procedure done over 20 years ago. I've got 2015 vision, better than 2020. Dr. Mark Michelson, Dr. Jen Michelson, best in the business. 205-969-8100. Ask for Amy. Tell her the next round sent you.
Call the next round now at 205-734-0923.
If you're looking for a fun golf atmosphere that is laid back with a peaceful environment, the Meadows Golf Course in Harpersville, right off of Highway 280, is perfect for you. Just a short drive from Birmingham, this 18-hole, 200-acre track with rolling fairways and ample greens is the definition of peacefulness of the country just miles from the city. Enjoy a great lunch before your round and a cocktail on the wraparound porch after 18. Come see us today. The Meadows Golf Course in Harpersville, right off of Highway 280. Hey, Lance Taylor from the next round. You've heard me for years talk about our friends at Bromberg's Jewelers, and we welcome you to stop by and see that great customer service at the Mountain Brook and Summit locations. But we'd also love for you to check out their new online shop. They've got plenty to choose from. Great gifts, big and small. Available online, they've got David Yurman, Tudor watches, select diamond and gemstone jewelry, William Henry, seasonal and favorite giftware items and baby gifts as well. They've even got an online sale section. For more information, Brombergs.com. Hey, if you're looking for Birmingham's best pizza, you need to stop in and see our friends at Slice Pizza and Brew. It's as local as you can get, from the ingredients that go into every pizza to the beer on tap. For a great lunch or dinner, go see our friends today, Vestavia or Lakeview at Slice.
Let's face it, a home is one of the most powerful assets you can have, and our friends at Mortgage Right want to help you build wealth through home ownership. Mortgage Right is all about providing competitive rates, a variety of loan products, and a multitude of resources for a seamless home buying experience. They treat their borrowers like family and are always looking to bring more happy homeowners under their roof. See more by visiting mortgageright.com/TNR today and start living. That's mortgageright.com/TNR. NMLS 2239, Equal Housing Lender.
Football season is here, and Legacy Credit Card is just what you need to manage your spending safely and wisely. Credit cards offer better consumer protection against fraud when compared to a debit card, which is linked directly to your bank account. Legacy offers rates as low as 8.9% APR on credit cards compared to major card providers who advertise rates as high as 29% APR. Look no further than Legacy. Open a credit card online in minutes at legacycreditunion.com/join. APR's annual percentage rate, rates, and offers subject to change. See website for details. Federally insured by NCUA. IV therapy, B12 injections, cryotherapy, and compression therapy all under one roof. It's our friends at HydroLive. Mention Next Round at checkout. Save 20% off any service. HydroLive's got 3 locations, Homewood, Tuscaloosa, and coming soon to Greystone.
Going to a big football game? Walking around all day? Then you'll want comfortable shoes. This is Wes McClooney, owner of the New Balance Birmingham store. Score a touchdown with a new pair of ultra-comfortable running or walking shoes. Come to the New Balance Birmingham store. I'm telling you, we'll make sure you have a perfect fit and we'll treat you like the starting QB. Our job is to make sure your feet are happy. Visit the New Balance Birmingham store on Highway 280 next to Chick-fil-A. Your feet will thank you.
By the way, Denny Hamlin ended up winning this past week at Bristol to secure his spot advancing into the playoffs. A lot of drivers will be trying to do that one last shot when they get to the Talladega Super Speedway at the end of this month to start October's race for a championship. Playoff racing, TalladagaSuperspeedway.com. TalladagaSuperspeedway.com to be inside the track to see Hardy in concert Saturday night and the big Yellowwood 500 on Sunday. Get your tickets, TalladagaSuperspeedway.com. Jordan Travis a little banged up in the Florida State win at Boston College, but he did come back. It's a left arm injury. Florida State and Clemson this week. Clemson's been off the beaten path since that loss to Duke. Tricky game for the Seminoles this week in Happy Valley.
I saw it, Lance, as a
Death Valley.
Death Valley. I saw it as a pick in the point spread at mybookie.ag.
Is it down to a pick? Because
I saw
it was 2.5 yesterday. This morning it was 1.5. And this might be based on Jordan Travis. I'll tell you, Florida State, I know it was the red bandana game. We talked about it post-game, Alabama, South Florida. But if Florida State plays like they played this weekend, they will get beat at Clemson.
I agree. Florida State minus 1.5 right now at mybookie.ag.
Keon Coleman against that Clemson secondary will be fun to watch. Can Clemson secondary rise to the occasion? I don't think they can. Jordan Travis will be good. He came back in that game. He's a baller. It'll be a fun watch this weekend.
All right, Joel Klatt joins us every single Monday, courtesy of mybookie.ag. Don't forget code next round when you sign up at mybookie.ag for that sign-on bonus up to $200 with any sign-on deposit of $50 or more. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere. mybookie.ag, code next round. That is mybookie.ag, code next round. What is up, Klatt? How are you today?
I'm good. How are you guys? What's going on?
Man, we're doing awesome. It's been a wild weekend here in the state of Alabama, as you might imagine. A lot of people are panicked about this. I think the answer is abundantly clear. You can't really play anybody but Jalen Milroe at quarterback now.
Oh, I totally agree with you. I said it, my Monday episode of my podcast came out and I recorded it last night. I actually, and he would never admit this, but I think he used Saturday as a scrimmage. And he's like, okay, I know what we have. I just faced the top 10 opponent at home. I know exactly what we have with Milroe, and I know the type of team that we would need to be and the philosophy that we would have with Jalen Milroe at quarterback. I don't know what I have in these other two guys. And let's face it, at the quarterback position, there's only so much you can learn, even from live scrimmages, within your own team. You don't know how a guy is going to react until you put him out there under the lights. Sometimes, although rare, but sometimes guys perform way above where they do in practice. And you got to figure that out, and I think he used Saturday as that. I mean, let's face it. South Florida was 1-11 last year. Their two best receivers are playing for Colorado. And I mean, that's just the truth. And so when I look at what Saturday was, I think it was purely who's going to be our quarterback moving forward. What do we have? Buckner? Nope, didn't work. Here comes, Ty Simpson, a little better, but that ain't going to cut it either, in particular in a week like this week when you're going to face Ole Miss. So what does that mean? It means that now the coaches have a direction, okay? I think up until this point, Alabama was trying to figure themselves out. And I think that's a fair deal. You've got to understand who you are before you can know where you're going. We used to have this whole old saying, who are we? Where are we going? How are we going to get there? That's really how a team gels. And up until this point, I think Alabama has had to figure out who they are. So who are they? Well, they're a team that's going to have to revert back to an offense that's going to need to play deliberate and methodical. Limit the number of possessions on the opposition. Limit the number of times the opposition can touch the football. You've got to limit the exposure of what your quarterback is going to be doing on obvious passing downs. So Jalen Milroe has to be your quarterback because he's the one that adds the extra hat in the run game. This has to be a run-oriented offense, and you're going to get heavy run-oriented defense. The only way to succeed running the football against a heavy run-oriented defense is if you equate numbers. The only way you can equate numbers is by running the football with your quarterback. He's obviously the best option for doing that, and really the only one of the three that's going to stay healthy in that type of a game plan. So as they're moving forward, they've got to limit the exposure of their defense. They've got to try to stay out of obvious down passing situations. You do that by equating numbers in the run game and really getting after it on first and second down. Good thing for them. They can run it now. As poorly as their offensive line has played in passing situations, they can run the football. I really like Roydell Williams. I really like Jason McClellan. They're averaging just under 7 yards per carry. And if you put Jalen out there, at least, let's face it, they had every chance in the world to beat Texas. And that's a really good team. So here we go. This is what Alabama is going to be. Bryce Young's not walking through that door. This is what Alabama's going to need to be this year.
Joel, I think we all agree Jalen Milroe, best quarterback on that roster. But you're right. He's the only guy that's going to survive. They've given up 10 sacks over the last 2 games. And look, I know Texas, I didn't think they would have a letdown spot. They did against Wyoming. They didn't get it going until the fourth quarter. But Wyoming only had 1 sack on Texas. And this is it's a problem for Alabama right now in pass protection. You've played behind bad offensive lines before. And what does that do to your confidence as a quarterback knowing that you're going to be under duress all day?
Yeah, it's not a good feeling. I can tell you that. Part of my weekly regimen, in particular on Fridays, I would have a meditation session about pain. And this is a true story and about what I was about to embark on Saturday and what it would feel like and how I was going to react when that happened. Because I knew that it's this is gonna I'm basically walking into a car accident, and I know that everybody can say that to some extent in a football game, but that's what it's like to be a quarterback, behind an offensive line that is let's just say poor. If they are constantly in passing situations, they're going to lose 2 more times at least. Okay. I just don't trust Jalen Milroe to make the decisions down the field necessary, not based on the film that I saw against Texas. Those interceptions that he threw were really poor. The psyche of a quarterback, though, he's got to forget about what's going to happen in the pass rush, and he's got to pour himself into making the right decisions. All right. This is not a guy that's going to play above the X's and O's in the passing game. That doesn't mean that he doesn't have an above average arm, because he does. But in the passing game, you're not throwing the football, you're passing the football. And there's a huge distinction between the two. You need anticipation and knowledge of windows. And those are the things that he's going to have to pour himself into so that he can help protect himself. This is one of the things that we never talk about when it comes to quarterbacks and pass protection, is that there is a sixth guy in the protection, and that is the quarterback. You've got to know where to go with the football at all times. You cannot snap the ball and then think to yourself like, okay, where are we go? Like, pre-snap, you've got to understand what you're looking at defensively. You got to know where your quick completions are. You've got to know if you're trying to get the ball down the field. What timing is that on? How quickly am I going to have to get down to the check down? How many hitches do I really have behind this offensive line? All of those things are a learned trait, and it's something that you have to prepare for. And again, the only way that you do that is you pour yourself into the details of the passing game and the nuances of the passing game, and making sure that you know that you're the sixth man in the protection.
Meditation before the game. All of a sudden, Bill Walton enters our chat here. I like that a lot. Hey, I got to ask you, a quarterback matchup, Shedeur Sanders, Bo Nix this week, 2:30 ABC in Eugene. And both these quarterbacks enter this game like the aliens in Space Jam. They are massive. Which one of these stars do you think can stand up to the test, knowing that Shedeur is now without his best player?
Yeah. Well, let's say, man, this is a great question. The exact conversation we just had about Milroe, we could have about Sanders, right? Like, he's playing behind an offensive line that is not very good at all. Now, I think he's got better skill on the outside. This is wild to say, but you guys will like, he's got better skill on the outside than Milroe does at Alabama, which is, again, it's wild to even conceive of that.
And he's a better quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, that's.
But I mean, it's just crazy that 1 in 11 now has better skill all over the place in Alabama.
I didn't think I had to say that, but yes, you are correct. That seems to be somewhat obvious. I worry about Shedeur because of what's in front of him against Oregon. I don't worry about Bo because he's got such a better supporting cast and a much more balanced offense. Bo Nix can play just within his system against Colorado, and Oregon should and will be favored by quite a bit. I haven't seen the actual number,
20.
so I apologize for that. But 20, that's about where I would put it. I think that's totally fair based on what we saw last week with Colorado. Having said that, and I've got the numbers to back this up, by the way. Let me pull them out real quick. Shedeur Sanders is the most clutch quarterback in college football. Maybe not the best. I think we can have that conversation. He's certainly played well, but certainly the most clutch. If you take a look at what he's done in these first 3 games, and remember, behind a really poor offensive line, like when his best is needed, he plays his best. That's what great players do. In the last few drives against TCU, 3 straight touchdown drives, and in every single one of those, they were behind. Like they had to score to come back in those. Nebraska scored on 7 of his last 8 drives. Colorado State scored on this final 3 drives, field goal, then the touchdown. The touchdown was a 98-yard drive in which they also had to have a 2-point conversion, all behind an offensive line that can't protect nor can provide any run game whatsoever. If you look at what his statistics are right now in the fourth quarter through 3 games, he's throwing for 84%, 450 total yards, 14.6 yards per attempt, and 5 touchdowns. Every one of those numbers that I just gave you are number 1 in college football. Now, if I was trying to poke a hole in that, I would say, well, Joel, he's been in tight games, so he's actually playing and has to play well in fourth quarters. Fair enough. But you think about what he's done, in particular with his team down in TCU and against CSU, and this guy is clutch. So this is what I would tell Oregon, Bo Nix, and the rest of that team. You better not be close late, because if number 2 runs out there, like, I'm going to bet on him. He's just got some sort of – we've seen this time and time again. I grew up watching John Elway. He had that magic. There are guys that walk out onto the field, and you're just like, well, damn, there's way too much time now, and he's starting to fit that mold. So Oregon better build up a solid lead, because if it's within a possession late, I don't care where the game is at, I'm going to bet on number 2.
Yeah, Cam Newton in 2010, same way. As that season went on, if he had a chance at the end, he willed that Auburn team to victory.
Vince Young at Texas. It's like you got the sense against USC. It's like, well, better not be within striking distance, because he's going to do it.
Jay Norvell, real quick, Klatt with us, courtesy of MyBookie.ag. He's on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. Sign up at MyBookie.ag. 2 NFL games tonight. You bet anything, anytime, anywhere. MyBookie.ag, code next round. MyBookie.ag, code next round. Jay Norvell made that game really personal, and it appeared as though his team fed off of that because they played like it was personal to them, a little too personal, with 178 penalty yards. And if you're Norvell today, you got to take a good long look in the mirror. I think that strategy cost you the game. 178 yards
100%.
of penalties. That's just ridiculous.
100%. There's no doubt. That game was everything but football in the first quarter.
Yep. Yeah, it was disgusting.
Both
really.
sides, by the way.
Yeah.
And I don't want to let Dion off the hook for the way he made it personal. You know, that game was really poorly played early. The team that settled down and executed the best actually was Colorado State for the majority of the game, outside of the absolutely atrocious and dumb penalties that they took. The late hit on Travis, guys, I've refrained from commenting on it because I don't think it's the last we're going to hear about that. I think that that was so egregious. And listen, I'm not absolving Colorado from, like, Colorado did some cheap and dirty things as well. That game going in, the supercharged environment, Lil Wayne coming out, all these, like, it was everything but football, especially early. And I got to be honest, I was holding my breath and just hoping that it wasn't going to deteriorate into something that was going to put a huge black eye on the sport and certainly those two programs. I'm glad that it didn't. It ended up being a great and fantastic game, but I think both of those coaches have got to look into the mirror, because you can't go play the rest of your schedule and just think to yourself, we're going to get exterior motivation based on bulletin board material. That is not a sustainable thought or a sustainable motivation and philosophy for a team. It has to be about details. I don't care how amped up you are. Every football game is about execution and details, period. You know, that's why so many different styles of coaches can win. You can be a yeller, you can be a calm guy, you can meditate, you know, like Bill Walton, you can be Dion, you can be Coach Saban. Why? Because it doesn't matter how you arrive. The end point of arrival has to be about execution and the details of that execution. And if you do that, you generally win.
Before you roll, you've got Oklahoma this week. Brent Venables was already on a hot seat, 6-7 coming into year 2. They're 3-0. They've outscored their 3 opponents 167-28. I don't know how much we know about Oklahoma based on opponents, but Dylan Gabriel looks like the early on Dylan Gabriel we saw at Central Florida. Dude's completing 83% of his passes.
You know what's interesting is that this wasn't all that dissimilar from what we were getting last year, which was a team that was fairly bipolar. You know, lose by 1 million to Texas, or let's just say, like, when Gabriel wasn't on the field or when he was injured, they were a shell of what they were with him on the field when he was healthy. I don't think Cincinnati is good enough to beat Oklahoma. Having said that, you know, we'll see how they play. Remember, this is a team that I believe in 6 different games lost a 1-possession game last year. And those are the types of teams that when they fix a couple of things, get a little bit more comfortable, execute just a little bit better in those crunch time scenarios, they can flip what was a losing year into a really remarkable year. I will say this about Oklahoma. If I was looking at odds of teams that are 12, 13 or lower that could make the playoff, I would bet on Oklahoma of all of those teams. I think Oklahoma would have the best shot to make a run of all the teams that are now in kind of, I would consider it the back half of the top 25.
Colorado.
Yeah.
Hey, man,
wake up
they're
call
dogs
this
by
week.
20 for a reason.
That pass, though, to Horn, the way he looked off the safety, I'm not a football guy, but even I was like, oh, let me see the high 22. That was a great look off there. It's such a cerebral play.
I've watched it. Trust me, like, I love watching coaches tape. And Sarah, my wife, has started to be like, do you have to do that? Because I sit, like, we go to bed and I sit there and I just watch it on my iPad for a few hours. But I've started to be that guy that's like, oh, man, you know, when I really like it, or, ugh. You know, and so, like, I'm watching Alabama and their offensive line makes me be like, ugh, this is gross. And she's like, will you relax? And then I watch Shador and then make it through a few. So I'm that guy that now is reacting to the coach's tape.
Hey,
Way to go, guys.
How long did you meditate before the Big 12 championship game against Texas?
Not long enough, Lance. There wasn't enough hours in the entire week leading up to that game.
Did you know it was going to be that bad, though?
Yes. I mean, that team was unbelievable. We backed in. We got housed by Nebraska the week before. The wheels were kind of coming off. There was a lot of stuff going on internally. And we backed into that game. And I just remember thinking to myself, like, I remember how hard they hit me in the first meeting. We played them in Austin earlier in the year. I think we lost like 42-17 or something like that. Played hard, but they were so good. I got absolutely crushed in the first meeting against Texas in Austin. Got a concussion in that game, just obliterated. I remember how I felt that Sunday. So the whole week leading up to the Big 12 championship game, that's all I was thinking about, was just like, hey, man, like, whatever you do, get up off the field. And I remember I was married at the time to my wife, Sarah, and I told her, I was like, listen, don't worry. Like, I'll make it. I've made it this far. This was like my 40th start or something, 38th start. So I was like, I'll be all right. And like, I'll get up. Don't worry, I'll get up. And lo and behold, third quarter, face down, unconscious, and like not moving. And she's like, oh my goodness.
It's Joel Klatt, Big Noon Kick, Oklahoma, Cincinnati, Saturday on Fox. Klatt, thank you, man. Have a great week.
You bet. You guys have a good one.
All right, buddy. We'll see you next week. Klatt with us every week, courtesy of MyBookie.ag. Code next round when you sign up at MyBookie.ag. Get that sign-on bonus up to $200. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere. MyBookie.ag. Code next round.
And also by our friends at Legacy. The holiday season is upon us, and Legacy Credit Union offers you the Legacy Credit Card. It's just what you need to manage your spending safely and wisely. Credit cards offer better consumer protections against fraud when compared to debit cards, which is linked directly to your bank account. Legacy offers rates as low as 8.90% APR on credit cards compared to the major card providers that are advertising rates as high as 29% APR. Look no further than LegacyCreditUnion.com/join. LegacyCreditUnion.com/join. APR is the annual percentage rate. Rates and offers subject to change. See the website for details, federally insured by the NCUA. And also by our friends at Moore's Marinade. I saw Little T. I used some this weekend, and I know you did too.
I absolutely did. Got that grill going this weekend. Little T used it on some ribs. She reported back that it is fantastic. You could see more at mooresmarinades.com. Get some grilling inspiration, some recipe ideas right there in Moore's. Good for everything. And don't forget that buffalo wing sauce that they've got there in Moore's as well. You can put that on anything. Chicken fingers, burgers, sandwiches, pizza, pasta, tacos, fries, and more. Grill masters prefer Moore's marinade and wing sauces over all others. And you can dominate that backyard grilling session during football when you use Moore's marinades. Use it on everything. You don't have to ask, can I use it on this? Yes, you could use it on this. See more? Find it in a store near you and go to mooresmarinades.com. That is mooresmarinades.com.
Everything Next Round is on demand now in the podcast section at nextroundlive.com.
No one does happy hour like Twin Peaks. Whatever your preference, we have everything from tequila cocktails and an extensive bourbon category to local craft beers and handcrafted whiskey cocktails. And don't forget about that 29-degree man-sized drafts. It's Twin Peaks at the Patton Creek Shopping Centers.
Want more of the show? Download the app or visit nextroundlive.com for the latest podcast, The Mystery Fifth Hour, our Not For All Ages podcast, The Last Call, and the entire Double Down Media podcast family. All at nextroundlive.com and on the Next Round app.
It's NBA time, Birmingham, as we hoop it up with the New Orleans Pelicans and Houston Rockets, October 12th at Legacy Arena. Single game tickets are now available. Visit birminghamsquadron.com or call 205-719-0850 for more information or to buy tickets. And the game is packed with former local players like Herb Jones and Kyra Lewis Jr. and Jabari Smith. and other superstars like Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson. You can also become a Squadron season ticket holder to get complimentary tickets to this huge event right here in the Magic City. The Pelicans preseason game in Birmingham sold out last year, so get your tickets as soon as possible. Do that online at birminghamsquadron.com or by calling 205-719-0850. October 12th, it's the Pelicans and Rockets at Legacy Arena right here in Birmingham. birminghamsquadron.com.
As summer starts to fade, get ready to welcome the arrival of fall. But hey, it's not just football season making an entrance. In the world of pest, it's fall invader season. Hold on tight because we've got 4 major troublemakers stepping into the spotlight. Box elder bugs, kudzu bugs, ladybugs, and stink bugs. These pests don't just knock, they barge in like they own the place. But fear not, dial up Wayne's Pest Control now, 865-588-6686, and let's show those fall invaders who's boss. Don't let pests crash your party. Take charge today.
The next round is brought to you in part by the biggest, baddest track in NASCAR, Talladega Superspeedway. This beast is 2.5 miles of nothing but pure speed and always puts on a great show for the fans. The Yellowwood 500 NASCAR Playoffs weekend is coming and you do not want to miss it. Saturday, September 30th is the Craftsman Truck Series Playoffs race, followed by Sunday's Yellowwood 500 in the NASCAR Cup Series Playoffs. Be there to see drivers battle 500 miles to survive. Get your tickets now at TalladagaSuperspeedway.com.
Stop by the New York Butcher Shop and pick up the finest in certified Angus prime beef steaks and burgers, premium pork chops, ribs, and all-natural chicken cut to order just for you. Their chef-prepared entrees and side dishes are the perfect dinner-to-go choice for your family and are ready to heat at home. With a great selection of fine wines and desserts, the New York Butcher Shop is your one-stop dinner shop. 2 locations to serve you, Cahaba Heights and on Highway 119 in Greystone. The New York Butcher Shop, rare quality, well-done service.
Look inside the AP poll brought to you by our friends at Chicken Cock today. Georgia #1. They got a couple of their first place votes back, 57 now, as they play UAB. Michigan's got 2 first place votes at #2. They play unbeaten Rutgers. Texas has 3 first place votes. They're up to #3. They're at Baylor. And #4, Florida State drops a spot. Only 1 first place vote now. They're in Clemson this week. USC is 5 with Arizona State. Bama's down to 13. Ole Miss is 15. We'll hear from Lane Kiffin and Jackson Dart after LT tells us about Chicken Cock.
Hey, if you don't believe me and Dunaway telling you how smooth and delicious Chicken Cock whiskey is, how about this? Chicken Cock whiskey, they've been stacking up gold and spirited industry awards, including gold from Beverage Testing Institute, 95 out of 100 from Spirits Challenge, 95 out of 100 from Tasting Panel magazines, in addition to praise not only from Rolling Stone, not only Newsweek, but Bro Bible also says Chicken Cock, thumbs up. Available in bourbon and rye. For more information and to order all expressions online, chickencockwhiskey.com.
After the Rebels win over Georgia Tech, Lane Kiffin is asked in the postgame about the Alabama quarterback situation. Here's Lane Kiffin.
I know your focus has been on your team. I'm curious how much you've paid attention to Alabama and specifically some of their quarterback issues. Last year, Bryce Young was obviously the difference maker on the field. He won't be there this time. How big of an opportunity is this for you guys catching them with quarterback uncertainty?
Well, it's good to know Bryce won't be there. That's very positive. I mean, we all got our issues, and this is one of the best teams, the best team in the last 15 years, and one of the hardest places to play. Just because Texas went in there and won, doesn't mean it got any easier. So it's a huge challenge, dynasty, and we have to do a lot of work just to be on the field with those guys. Those are premier recruiting classes of 5-star players everywhere.
Yeah, Lane said in the offseason one of his biggest regrets as a head coach so far is yet to beat Alabama Nick Saban. He gets an opportunity this week.
Do you guys remember when he showed up in Oxford on the tarmac and the first dude, he shook his hand, the guy had a little baby, and he said, "Hey, coach, get a burner"? I mean, Lane doesn't care what people think. Is he doing a flex right there, just laying his burner out? I mean, how many phones?
Well, I'm sure somebody's recording.
Yeah, that's them recording.
Reporters. Okay.
Yeah, that's reporters.
Because I was like, it just grew with Jackson Dart there.
That's people. They said the reporters recorded. Here is Jackson Dart after the game talking about going in to play Alabama, and here's a chance for their quarterback to say they're looking forward to playing the Tide.
How excited are you? How prepared do you feel like you guys are to get ready for conference play, specifically Alabama next week?
Yeah, well, this is a game that
I feel like our whole team has really been looking forward to, especially with how things ended last game, last time we played them towards the end of the game. Obviously, they're Bama, so you know what to expect from them. And I think just all of us as kids, like we've always grown up and seen them at the top, so we're excited for the challenge.
Yeah, so they're Bama, he says. You adds a thought on Kiffin and now Jackson Dart.
I just think the Kiffin approach on the whole T-Rob thing is kind of strange, and you can
For those that maybe missed that early on, update us on that.
So in a press conference, or it's a teleconference really, with the Ole Miss media, he said it appears that T-Rob is calling the plays, the defensive plays now. And so much so that they've gone back and looked at some of his old defenses to study him more than what they were studying Kevin Steele. I didn't hear the question. I don't know. Obviously, I wasn't on the teleconference. I don't know if Lane just threw that out there or if he was baited into that. I don't know. It's just a weird approach by Lane Kiffin. And again, I was about to say you could run yourself ragged trying to figure this guy out, Lane Kiffin. I mean, he does things. He marches to the beat of a different drummer. He does things differently than most. This is shaping up to be kind of a wild week at Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, I would agree. And the thing about Ole Miss is Quinshon Judkins has got to get back to Quinshon Judkins. He's only averaging 3.3 yards per carry. Now, on Saturday against Georgia Tech, they averaged as a team over 8 yards per carry. But I don't think Jackson Dart can go into Tuscaloosa and be your leading rusher and you win that game. And Jackson Dart, as good as he's been this year, he is their leading rusher for the season. Quinshon has got to have a big game in order for Ole Miss to win this game.
Lane Kiffin talking about Alabama maybe rearranging the play calling on defense. Brown, you had an opportunity to rearrange your bathrooms.
Oh, boy, did I. I didn't have to call Lane Kiffin. I didn't have to call T-Rob. I didn't need Kevin Steele. All I needed was my man, Brad Bell, A+ Tile Home Remodeling. Listen, we bought our bathroom, or bought our house with our master bath the way it was. We were crazy about it. It was very white and bright. We kind of like the darker colors. So we decided we wanted to redo it. Jennifer scoured the internet to find somebody that could do the job. She talked to a lot of different contractors. She talked to people who use certain contractors. She picked Brad Bell, A+ Tile Home Remodeling. I am so glad she did. He did amazing work with us. His estimate was so competitive, one of the best right there, but his work was what was incredible. His crews were timely. They did clean work. They were dependable. They got this done so quickly. It looked so good. In fact, Lance liked the look of it so much. He was like, man, I need to get in touch with Brad Bell. Lance did. It was the exact opposite for him, kind of the darker tones in Lance's bathroom. He wanted it lighter. It just shows you Brad doesn't have some template he does. He does it the way you want it done. Don't trust these one-day bathroom remodel deals. Brad told me, he's like, man, a lot of times their bids are like twice what mine are, and it's one day of work. That doesn't make any sense at all. Call Brad, 205-422-1758. That is 205-422-1758. A+ Tile Home Remodeling. If you missed anything I said about Brad, reach out to me. Social media, email. I'll be glad to hook you up. With my man Brad Bell, A+ Tile Home Remodeling. Anywhere in Alabama, he works for you. 205-422-1758.
And also by our friends at Bromberg's.
Since 1836, family owned and operated. They are your diamond specialists. Nothing like giving or getting that silver box. Stop in. 2 great locations, Mount Brooke and the Summit. You can also shop online, brombergs.com.
All right. Appreciate those folks being with us. Couple of notes as we get ready for this weekend. Cade McNamara going back against a big game. Can he get it done? He couldn't really always get it done at Michigan. Now Cade McNamara in a big game this weekend against Penn State.
Well, look, if Iowa's got any shot, McNamara, this injury has been bothering him. He's got to be at 100%, and he's got to play at 100%. Can't turn the football over. Iowa's gotten off to fast starts, believe it or not, offensively. So that hasn't been the problem. Now, they played well in the second half offensively this past weekend. But I just don't know if they can score with Penn State right now.
I really don't think so. Then Penn State, though, Illinois played with Penn State a lot. They struggled in that game for most of the first 3 quarters. They pulled away late in that game against Illinois.
And how about Georgia? What's your thoughts on Georgia after the South Carolina game? Really impressed with South Carolina 14-3 at the half, but a 21-0 shutout in the second half by Georgia.
Yeah, I think Georgia's missing something. I'm not sure how good they are. And I told you guys, I would not have Georgia ranked number 1. I'm not certain I'd have them in my top 5 right now. It's all based on what they did last year. This is a different team. You watch this team. They do not look like the team of the last couple of years. It's not that Beck is playing bad. It's just that their offense is, I don't know, man. It's just.
But isn't that, truthfully, Brown, though, what we say about Alabama all those years they won the national championship, that in these lesser games until they get to their first challenge, which this was, that there was something missing. They're not the same team, but then it's a slow burn, and by the end of the year, they're really good.
But they got challenged, and there was still something missing.
Yeah, I mean, they only had 3 points at half, much like Alabama, but this was against South Carolina. Spencer Rattler didn't play great. And Spencer Rattler
in the first half.
Yeah, first half he was the first possession, he was spectacular.
But then he turns it over multiple times in the second half. And this is a team that had 11 penalties and multiple turnovers. They were -2 in turnovers, 11 penalties. You can't beat the number one team doing that.
Yeah, but sometimes those penalties and those turnovers are caused by how good the other team is.
Oh, yeah, look, I think this Georgia defense is great.
Still no Ladd McConkey yet, big weapon on offense. The running back room hasn't been healthy. I'm not convinced on Carson Beck yet. But this team still did flex its muscle in the second half to go 21-0, where it was at 14-3 at the half.
And I don't know what's going on with Brock Bowers. He had 7 touches this weekend, which is a lot for him. But he just, I don't know. He looks like he's out of sync a little bit.
I'm not a Georgia believer. I just don't know when it's going to show up on that schedule, though. I really don't. I don't know when they're going to be tested enough.
UAB in town this week before they make a trip to Jordan-Hare Stadium to play Auburn. Big game coming up later on this month. Top of the hour right now, as Rusty is telling everybody in the Vulcan Tire and Automotive chat room, give us the thumbs up. Hit that thumbs up button. Like and subscribe if you're just here right now lurking and not a subscriber. It's absolutely free. It helps us out. Thumbs up, Stu, too. Top of the hour here. This is the next round.
Follow Rockstar on Twitter @RockstarBHM.
If renting is putting a dent in your bank account, here's your sign from the universe that it's time to buy a new home. And who better to help you through the ins and outs of home buying than our friends at Mortgage Right. With Mortgage Right, you don't have to worry about becoming a short notice mortgage expert because they do all the heavy lifting for you. They're trusted mortgage professionals, and they'll help you choose the right mortgage option and stand by your side every step of the way. Visit mortgageright.com/TNR to buy before renting runs you dry. That's mortgageright.com/TNR. NMLS 2239, Equal Housing Lender.
Hey, Lance Taylor from the next round to tell you about our friends at Gutter Cap. Gutter Cap's that patented aluminum cover system that fits over most existing gutters to keep out debris and eliminate that gutter cleaning. It's backed with a lifetime warranty, almost 20-year service record right here in Birmingham. Stay off that dangerous ladder forever. 45% off the retail price now if you call guttercapbirmingham.com. Call my good friend Chris Stewart now, 205-823-2212. Cap it, don't snap it. It's Gutter Cap.
The next round brought to you by the biggest and baddest track in NASCAR, the Talladega Superspeedway. The Yellowwood 500 NASCAR Playoffs weekend is coming up. You don't want to miss it. The action kicks off Saturday, September 30th with the Craftsman Truck Series Playoffs race, all leading up to the NASCAR Cup Series Playoffs on Sunday, October the 1st. Be there to see these drivers battle for 500 miles to survive and advance to the next round of the playoffs. Get your tickets now at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com. Again, that is TalladegaSuperspeedway.com.
You have all heard of Red Wing Shoes, but what is Red Wing Shoes? It's the place where men buy boots, plain and simple. Who are Red Wing's customers? They are construction workers, warehouse employees, college students, the guy that fixes your AC, the guy at the end of the bar, the IT guy. Red Wing is a father, Red Wing is a son, Red Wing is a cult following shared by all men. A classic, comfortable pair of cool boots with a story to tell. What's your Red Wing story? Red Wing Shoe Stores, located in Pelham and Trussville.
Going to a big football game? Walking around all day? Then you'll want comfortable shoes. This is Wes McClooney, owner of the New Balance Birmingham store. Score a touchdown with a new pair of ultra-comfortable running or walking shoes. Come to the New Balance Birmingham store. I'm telling you, we'll make sure you have a perfect fit and we'll treat you like the starting QB. Our job is to make sure your feet are happy. Visit the New Balance Birmingham store on Highway 280 next to Chick-fil-A. Your feet will thank you.
Hey, Lance Taylor from the next round to tell you about one of our favorite places for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That is Hamburger Heaven since 1982. Hamburger Heaven has been serving Birmingham's best hamburgers, cheeseburgers, French fries, hand-spun milkshakes, and sandwiches made fresh to order. All of their ingredients are fresh and prepared daily. This includes their beef, always fresh, never frozen, hand-pattied each and every day. For breakfast, lunch, or dinner, visit any of the 4 locations, Highway 280, Irondale, Gardendale, and Homewood.
Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, Ryan Brown, and Rockstar. Live from the Birmingham Racecourse Casino Studios, the next round, presented by Bud Light, is on now.
Man, we're so excited to bring you another hour of the next round here, but don't forget when we're done here today, Disrupt the Media. We'll give you a little bonus coverage coming up. We've got our overtime today, the Nick Saban news conference, the Hugh Freeze news conference. As we go overtime today, Disrupt the Media on our YouTube channel. Don't forget to go like and subscribe there. And all the great Ward Dam pods and Roll Tide pods, like those channels as well, and subscribe there so you don't miss anything. Set the alerts. Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, Ryan Brown, Rockstar, Forrester, Tyler, Lunsford, Taylor Korn, Manning, everything over in the command center there. And then, of course, E.G., Emily Grace, who is just fresh back from Auburn, Sanford and Auburn this weekend. She'll be in Tuscaloosa for Ole Miss, Alabama on the game coming up Saturday. Show being brought to you by our great friends at Wayne's today. You know, we've been celebrating Wayne's all this year, all of 2023, because it's 50 years of Wayne's. Wayne's Pest Control. They've been serving our communities for half a century now. They love doing it, and they love providing world-class pest control and termite protection to you as well. And they just want to say thank you. Thank you to all of you for all the years of supporting Wayne's. And if you're new to the family, if you've been with them 50 years, they still want to offer you this deal. All you have to do is visit callwaynes.com, callwaynes.com, and enjoy $50 off of pest control or termite protection. Pest control or termite protection, $50 off each at callwaynes.com, callwaynes.com. We're about to get to our spotlight in just a second, but a couple of thoughts on some other games around the SEC. We have Arkansas, who loses to BYU. Vandy lost to UNLV, some more out-of-conference losses in the SEC. But the loss by Arkansas to BYU before they go to Baton Rouge, I was surprised by BYU being able, with Keaton Slovis, to score 38 points on Arkansas.
Well, and look, and BYU's defense didn't play great early on, but they shut out Arkansas in the fourth quarter.
That game was 14-0 quick.
Yeah.
But Arkansas in the lead, 14-0.
And for Keaton Slovis to be able to come back there, BYU was able to get after K.J. Jefferson. They had the 4 sacks. But when you turn it over twice and you have 14 penalties, and look, you look at Colorado State, Boston College, I mean, all of these penalties ended up costing these teams games.
I got 2 coaching stats for you, both from The Athletic today, Stuart Mandel of The Athletic. And I want your reaction to these. First, we'll go with Arkansas and Sam Pittman. Since that 9-4 season where he beat Texas, LSU, and Penn State in the same year, he is 9-7 since then. 9-7 since then. How big of a game is it this weekend against LSU?
Yeah.
Again,
what do you expect?
I'd hate to be judged on that.
You saw bad coaching at Arkansas, and Sam Pittman's a guy that's going to win you 7 or 8 games every year. I mean, I don't know if you're ever going to get an elite coach there.
Okay. The other one, now again, I don't think this is alarming, but it is a fact. Since Tennessee beat Alabama to end the streak, and they stormed the stadium up in Neyland, since then, Tennessee is 3-3 in SEC games.
Yeah. They Joe Milton threw a really bad interception in the first half of that game. Florida just got after their tails early on, and Tennessee did not react well. Actually, Tennessee scored first, and you thought, okay, here you go. But then it was all Florida in the rest of the first half in that game. Listen, man, there's just, I know I said it so many times last week, y'all got tired of hearing it, but there is something about Tennessee playing in that stadium. It's different coaches, it's different rosters. It does not matter. They just don't play in that stadium.
Well, here's the biggest thing. College football is becoming the NFL. Not only paying the players, but it's affecting the players and it's affecting the competition. I mean, NIL is completely changing the game because if you go back, if Brian Kelly wouldn't have beat Alabama, I think he would have been like 4-4 in his last 8 against Power Fives. I think Nick Saban, did you not bring it up last week? After losing to Texas, he's like 3-2 in his last 5 or something. I mean, there's just a lot of balance, a lot of parity now.
Yeah, a lot of parity there when you come to the talent maybe being spread around because of NIL. That gets us to the biggest storylines. That's our spotlight today, and it's brought to you by Dr. B, the guys that have been spotlighting LT's hair follicles, and it's worked.
Yeah, Dr. Beckenstein is the name everyone gave me when I started to thin out. Went in to see him. I do the non-invasive treatment on the couch 3 times a week, 30 minutes each time. It's that simple. Hair is more than doubled in thickness. T3hair.net for more than 20 years. Women and men have turned to Dr. Beckenstein for a range of cosmetic and reconstructive procedures. He will use that experience, his advanced training and genetic testing to help his patients fully understand the procedures they are considering. Call Dr. B today, 205-319-0316 or T3hair.net.
The College Football Spotlight. College football's biggest storylines.
What's the biggest storyline for you, Brown, going into this next week of college football?
I think it's this Ohio State-Notre Dame game. 6:30 NBC kick there in South Bend. I heard last night during the Dolphins game that Ohio State has not been to South Bend. It was 30-something years, I think is what they said. That's crazy to think about. I don't know if we know anything about either one of these teams. Ohio State has been untested. They have struggled against those untested teams until Saturday against Western Kentucky. I feel like at NC State was at least somewhat of a test for Notre Dame, Lance, but they haven't played anybody else with a pulse outside of that one game. But Sam Hartman has looked really good. At least in their untested games, Hartman has played well, and they've had good quarterback play. I mean, this is big on the national championship scope, especially for Notre Dame. I
do like the way Notre Dame can run the football in this game, and obviously Ohio State can too. Best quarterback in this game is
it's Hartman.
The home team.
Yeah,
it's Hartman,
It's Hartman. If you flip this, I would feel great about Ohio State. I still think Ohio State's going to win this game. I think McCord got a little confidence coming out of Western Kentucky. Let's just see what kind of start they get. They need a fast start. Get that crowd out of it.
You know, I don't have the dates in front of me of how many times Ohio State's played in South Bend or any of that, but it's being built. Mike Tirico said it on Sunday Night Football last night that it's a rare trip to South Bend
That's
for
what
Ohio
I just
State.
said. I think he said 32 years. I think that's what he said.
And I'm thinking in my head, how many times have I seen Ohio State and Notre Dame play?
Not enough.
In South Bend, and you just have not seen a ton of them.
I remember the last two meetings you had, obviously the one in the Horseshoe last year, and then before that I think it was a Fiesta Bowl.
I mean, they've only played 7 times.
7 times all time.
All time.
Counting bowls and everything.
Yeah, 5-2 Ohio State is in those 7 games, by the way.
Matt, by the way, Notre Dame fan here, not convinced we'll be able to run the ball, and our pass rush isn't very good.
Yeah. Again, I mean, Notre Dame has barely – NC State's a good team. Other than that, they've played a bunch of nothing.
Yeah. I think Ohio State wins this game. My storyline, we talk about parity. The Pac-12, will they cannibalize themselves? Pac-12 schedule starts this week, conference schedule.
Well, they have to.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know
one
that.
could stand out, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, 1 or 2 could stand out, but they're 30-6 going into conference play, and you've got some games already this weekend. I cannot wait for UCLA going on the road to take on Utah. Hopefully Cam Rising will be healthy. The word is he will. Colorado gets their first real test on the road against Oregon. And, I mean, you just got great games when you look at the schedule just moving forward from this weekend on, just incredible matchups in the Pac-12.
Oregon State, Washington State's a battle of top 25 this weekend. Cal and Washington. Whatever you think of Cal, it's a little upgrade maybe for Washington's Penix. Michael Penix as a Heisman Trophy favorite, a chance to play a little stingier defense, though that's a home game in Seattle. Mine's the Pac-12 too, and I heard somebody say this Saturday night and again on Sunday, and I've read it in a couple places too. Stuart Mandel writes at The Athletic today that if Dion Sanders had showed up last year at Colorado and not this year, the Pac-12 would not have fallen apart.
Oh, I don't know if I believe that.
Yeah, I don't know if I believe that.
Who said that? Stuart Mandel?
Yeah.
Here's the problem with Stuart. Nice enough guy, but this is a guy that lives out in the Bay Area. He's butthurt that the Pac-12 has fallen apart, so he's looked for every reason to try to explain it away or whatever. That's the dumbest.
It's a simple explanation. Yeah. They brought a tennis guy in Larry Scott to run a football conference, and he signed a television deal that has no subscribers, and people can't find it, and that's what killed him.
But look, if
5 years ago maybe.
If USC and UCLA had not already committed to the Big Ten and the Pac-12 was having this kind of year this year, it would look different. They would have a different media rights.
Well, I think, I mean, if I'm one of these media companies, I would be bidding on the Pac-12.
Yeah, but it's never going to be the money the Big Ten could give USC and UCLA. I mean, that is asinine to think that they would have stayed for less money, which is what Stewart's arguing there. It's a dumb argument by Stewart.
Yeah, I thought it was a interesting weekend for Colorado with all the hype around there. You had not only First Take and College Game Day there, you had the big noon kickoff there, and you had 60 Minutes there.
I saw that.
And that was a big interview last night after the NFL, where Dion was asked who's the greatest coach in college football, and he said, "Hand me a mirror so I can look at him."
Yeah,
it's so good. But then he went on to really praise Nick Saban.
No, that was very nice, but I just could not believe. I'm watching the NFL yesterday, and I'm watching, I think it was the Jets-Dallas game on CBS. And, they start doing the coming up tonight on 60 Minutes, Jim Nantz says. And it's normally like, old boy Zelensky from Ukraine that's come over here getting all our money for his war. And then it's some CEO of some car company, and then it was Dion Sanders. It's kind of amazing.
So awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of Dion, here's cut number 6. Rockstar, if you'll give me Dion Sanders. He had talked a lot of talk all week long in response to Jay Norville. And he said this afterward. This thing goes to double overtime. Colorado gets the victory in the end, but there was a moment there. It did not look like Colorado was going to stay unbeaten and they were going to lose to an in-state rival. Here's Prime after the game.
Truthfully, it's one point in the game I said, we can't let this dude win. There ain't no way we let this dude win. His press conference is going to be unbearable if we let this dude win. We showed that we were resilient. We showed that we would fight. We showed that we had no surrender or give up in us. And that's a lot for a team that's fairly new. As you say, we just got together. So I'm truly proud of our men as well as our coaches and staff, sports staff, and so forth. Not happy with the way we played, but I'm happy with the win. You got to be happy with a W no matter how it comes.
Yeah, and I believe that. You got to be happy with the W no matter how it comes, especially in their situation. Their fans are getting blasted for rushing the field as a 24-point favorite in that game and then winning it in double overtime. I was expecting the field rush. I was not shocked, and I had no problem.
Look, it's a different atmosphere right now. Buff fans hadn't had anything to celebrate in over 5 years. So I got no problem with that either. You wonder, I think it was 5 years ago when Barstool hired Dion. You wonder if any of these coaches like Nick Saban kind of kicked themselves in the ass for not going out, paying Dion $1 million just to come in, be part of the staff. Hey, look, you don't have to do anything, just bring guys here.
Yeah, you'll be a position coach and recruit for us, and it'll make you a head coach one day. Yeah. He didn't have to do it that way. He was able to become a head coach kind of a non-conventional way. Listen, you can say all you want about Colorado. I know it wears some people thin. I know some people don't like prime time. But if you cut through all of that, Shedeur Sanders is a fantastic quarterback.
Yeah.
Now, look, they're about to run up against the most competition they've played. But I think you can watch that guy even against the lesser competition and realize he's really, really good at what he does.
Because he's under distress and having to work through so many progressions and making really good throws on the run.
He's really good.
You just look at Joe Milton in the Tennessee-Florida game, having to throw to an open receiver and sometimes grounding the ball to him. Shedeur seems like he makes a great on-the-money pass all the time. Our Milo sound of the day involves that Colorado-Oregon game. Rockstar, give me 13 and 12. Milo's, that classic cheeseburger, wasn't enough. If you download the Milo's app, after your first purchase, you'll get the original cheeseburger for free as well. Get a whole big meal there with our friends at Milo's. I love that classic burger. Love the sauce and the onions there. Some people get it without the onions. I love it the way God intended a Milo's classic burger and cheeseburger to be, covered in onions as well with that great sauce. A lot of free stuff as well as you stuff your face right there with the Milo's app. Download the Milo's app today and start earning rewards. If you're looking for motivation, and Colorado occasionally will do that, right?
They like to make it personal. There's no doubt.
We take you off. Scott Forrester takes you all the way back to July 31st when Colorado announced they were leaving the Pac-12 and they were going to the Big 12. Dan Lanning, who at that point was part of the Pac-12 left behind crew before he was leaving to go to the Big 10, he had this to say about Colorado.
Can I just get your initial reaction when you heard about the news of Colorado leaving? And does these changes change the approach or your attitude as far as the coming this season?
Not a big reaction. I'm trying to remember what they won to affect this conference. I don't remember. You remember them winning anything? I don't remember them winning anything.
He wasn't wrong there.
No, he wasn't.
But it's just it seemed like an unnecessary
Bo Nix
shot.
will have over 1,000 total yards. They win the game by 100 this weekend.
I'm just telling you. Do you think Dion and Shedeur and Shiloh and the rest of the Fighting Sanders bring up the fact we haven't won anything? Their coach says we haven't won anything.
They were down double digits to Colorado State at home with 11 minutes to go.
A freshman
Oregon
quarterback
will walk them off the field. This will not even be close.
A freshman quarterback. You got to think about the quarterbacks they faced. They faced a freshman Fowler Nicolosi. I don't know why we dropped the Fowler part, but they kept calling him Nicolosi in the game. He's a freshman. Now, he had 3 interceptions, but he picked them apart otherwise.
Does that mean his mom kept the last
really
name?
don't know. I didn't know a whole lot about the guy until that night. Jeff Sims, who was horrific. And then week 1, the TCU
Chandler Morris.
Yeah, Chandler Morris, who didn't play well.
Well, I mean, they scored 40 plus.
By far and away, the best quarterback they have seen. By far and away, not even close.
But in fairness, you thought TCU would beat them by double digits.
Oh, yeah. No, look,
you thought Nebraska would beat them by double digits.
I didn't say double digits.
Nebraska would
I
win.
thought Nebraska would win the game.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
and I thought they would
and I thought they would stomp Colorado State.
Yeah.
Colorado is good, and they're much better than any of us thought. But again, different animal with Oregon. Oregon, I will be shocked if they score less than 60 points.
Bo Nix continues to play well. Here's Bo Nix about not turning the football over with a better supporting cast than Shedeur will bring into Eugene.
No turnovers so far this year for you guys. How much is that?
Oh, why'd you jinx it? Come on. No, I'm kidding.
How much of that is something that you guys talked about in the offseason with Coach Stein?
We talk about that, every day. That's our main goal. We want to play clean. And the number one way to play clean is not turn the ball over, not give them easy possessions. So it's important for us. We work at it. We put an emphasis on it. And so it's one thing that we hope to continue to do because that's why we're playing very efficiently.
Yeah, and he's playing great, but he's got some wonderful weapons around him. And to y'all's point, Nebraska's defense played okay. Colorado's defense played okay. By far the best defense. Forget Bo on the offense. The best defense that Shedeur and Colorado will face is Dan Lanning's Oregon bunch.
Now, Texas Tech, Lance, had some success against that Oregon defense. They put 30 on them in Lubbock. But other than that, now, again, it was Portland State and Hawaii. Other than that, they played pretty well.
Yeah, look, I think the Oregon defense is improved, but still, I mean, the go-to is that offense. I mean, Bo Nix completing 77% of his passes. This is a guy that it seemed like he could never complete over 60% at Auburn. He will have receivers running wide open. Look, Sanders and Shedeur Sanders will actually, I mean, they'll be able to score some points, but they can't keep up with Oregon.
Especially missing Travis Hunter. If you didn't hear the news, he's out 3 weeks, according to Dion Sanders. So you're going to be missing the best defender you've got. Now, Shiloh Sanders is good, but you had Travis Hunter on the other side. That was a pretty good duo right there.
Yeah, Twizzy 2 times in the Vulcan Tire and Automotive chat room. People have been wrong 3 weeks now about Colorado, LOL. That true statement there.
That is true. I've missed every single game they've played.
Troy, I did not say the exact thing. I did think TC would beat them pretty good.
Troy writes in, hey, Bo, 2003 called, and Mark McGrath wants his hair back. Can we see Bo again?
It's a little Mark McGrath.
He's always had his hair like that.
He really has, but there is some Mark McGrath in that rock star. I can see
a lot of people do that still to this day.
I mean, can we get a tie shot of Brown's hair? I mean, don't you try to? Oh, I'm just asking. I mean, the little spiked front, is that not a?
Listen to Lunsford back there laughing.
No,
the word that really throws out there, jumps out, is try.
Well, I mean, the spike is what I'm saying. The little spiked hair. That's stylish, isn't it?
I don't know. It's the way Roney told me to start fixing it, so I started fixing it that way.
Yeah. Now, you don't have the frosted tips, which may be what we're talking about.
I have yet to go frosted tips,
Would you try?
I don't think so. I don't know if I've hit my midlife crisis or not, but I got my age getting frosted tips.
You tried it. Remember? Your hair turned pink.
Yeah.
I did. I tried it.
Like an Easter egg.
Yeah, I tried it. I think it's why my hair fell out. All right, when we come back, we've got trash and a lot more college football to get to the top of the hour. As we roll on, this is the next round, being brought to you in part today by our friends at Woodhouse Day Spa.
Yeah, Woodhouse Day Spa. I had a conversation with my friend Casey yesterday from Woodhouse. They were down in Tampa for the big game. If you're looking to treat that special someone to the gift of luxury, Woodhouse Day Spa is for you. They've got over 70 options on that menu, including massages, body treatment, skincare, waxing, nail services. For more information, go online, birmingham.woodhousespas.com, or just stop in, see Casey and Stewart. They're located conveniently at the Summit Shopping Centers.
Follow Scott Forrester on Twitter @ScottForresterTV.
There are so many things I love about walk-ons. Authentic, mouth-watering Louisiana cuisine, prepared fresh, daily from scratch. A great beer selection and TVs everywhere to watch the big game every day of the week. And of course, they've got 2 great locations on Highway 280 and 119 and at Hoover near the Hoover Met. Walk-ons is also a great place for happy hour, 2 to 6 Monday through Friday with $5 moonshine swirls, $5 house pours, and half-price appetizers. And it's an easy take-home experience for the family as well. Highway 280 in Hoover with walk-ons.
The Next Round Golf Cart is here. Your chance to play 4 area golf courses for just $89. Get 18 holes in cart at Limestone Springs, Cross Creek, The Meadows, and the newly renovated Woodward Golf Club. A $247 value for just $89. Get your golf cart now at nextround.store. The Next Round is brought to you in part by the biggest, baddest track in NASCAR, Talladega Super Speedway. This beast is 2.5 miles of nothing but pure speed and always puts on a great show for the fans. The Yellowwood 500 NASCAR Playoffs weekend is coming and you do not want to miss it. Saturday, September 30th is the Craftsman Truck Series Playoffs race, followed by Sunday's Yellowwood 500 and the NASCAR Cup Series Playoffs. Be there to see drivers battle 500 miles to survive. Get your tickets now at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com. Do you need extra cash handy? Look no further than Legacy Credit Union for whatever loan your lifestyle requires. It only takes a few minutes to apply and request the amount you need to give you peace of mind. With affordable low rates and manageable payback plans, a Legacy Lifestyle loan is crafted just for you. Apply online today at LegacyCreditUnion.com/join. Lifestyle loans from Legacy. Terms and conditions may apply. Legacy is federally insured by the NCUA.
As summer starts to fade, get ready to welcome the arrival of fall. But hey, it's not just football season making an entrance. In the world of pest, it's fall invader season. Hold on tight because we've got 4 major troublemakers stepping into the spotlight. Box elder bugs, kudzu bugs, ladybugs, and stink bugs. These pests don't just knock, they barge in like they own the place. But fear not, dial up Wayne's Pest Control now, 865-588-6686, and let's show those fall invaders who's boss. Don't let pests crash your party. Take charge today. Hey, there's nothing worse than waking up to a plumbing problem. Don't get caught in a flooded house. Call the guys at Hemp Hill Services. Adam, Chad, and the team at Hemp Hill are the only ones I trust to fix it and fix it right the first time. Hemp Hill Services does it right and always at a fair price. For all of your plumbing, cooling, and heating needs, trust the name that Birmingham has trusted since 1954. That is Hemp Hill Services. Call now, 205-229-2090. That's 205-229-2090.
Want more of The Next Round? Download the app or visit nextroundlive.com for the latest podcast, The Mystery Fifth Hour, our Not For All Ages podcast, The Last Call, and the entire Double Down Media podcast family. All at nextroundlive.com and on the Next Round app.
This hour always brought to you by our friends at Champy's, world famous fried chicken, champyschicken.com. Had a chance to have a little to-go order. I had a little fried chicken Saturday night. Loved that. When we finished our post-game Alabama emergency news conference, I settled down to a little southern fried chicken and the wonderful sides that you get right there on Highway 119 in Alabaster. It is Sterling's crew there, champyschicken.com. Perfect for tailgating or watching the big games this weekend. One more thing to tell you before we get to trash here that we've been discussing a little bit, and that's the NFL and the breaks. My team may not be good, but we're 2-0. Forsher's team may not be good, but they're 2-0. Rockstar, your team lost yesterday, surprisingly. Jared Goff's team.
Well, it was a weird game, though.
LT, your team may actually end up being good, even though they lost.
I think as long as they stay healthy now, Joe Noteboom, once he went out of the game, Stafford had yet to be sacked. He got sacked twice after that, so that's going to be an injury to look at. But I think the Rams, if Cooper Kupp comes back the way Sean McVay is able to call these plays, and by the way, to kick the 3 to end the game, to cover the spread.
He knows the point spread, that's for sure.
That's my man.
Yeah. And then your Dolphins last night against New England, I left so impressed with the Dolphins, but I was reading, I forget where it was, on one of the websites today that I frequent before I do the show. They were like, the Dolphins not championship contenders yet. I would check box yes and yes so far from what I've seen with the Dolphins.
Yeah, I mean, it's week 2. I don't know how somebody comes to that conclusion in week 2, but yeah, I'm with you. Their defense played much better. I mean, offense got a little stagnant in the second half. I think you probably give some of that to Bill Belichick, but ran the ball. Mostert had a good game last night. Tua has been terrific. Tua is just making so many undefendable throws. That's what's crazy about him. His accuracy is just incredible.
Yeah. Not bad throws, just throw that defenses cannot defend.
Yeah,
right.
yeah, they're indefensible. No matter how you say it, it makes it sound bad. Yeah. Defenses cannot defend some of the throws he is making. You can have all the coverage you want. He's putting it in a spot where it's just it can't be defended.
Our look to the NFL tonight, doubleheader on Monday Night Football, brought to you by our friends at Hemp Hill. They also bring you Lance's Lock, lanceslock.com. He's got 2 plays on sides tonight for you at lanceslock.com. You can sign up for 1 day or for a year or anywhere in between. Lanceslock.com for all your plumbing, cooling, and heating needs. Trusted name, Birmingham's trusted since 1954. Hemp Hill Services, 205-229-2090, 229-2090. Our friends at Hemp Hill. Saints and Panthers, Browns and Steelers, two really good football games. Just sadly, at one point, they'll all be going on at the same time because one starts at 6:15 on ESPN and then the Browns and Steelers at 7:15 on ABC. You got plays at lanceslock.com coming off a 5-1 Sunday.
Yeah, 5-1 Sunday. We were 8-7. We had 15 plays. I had 20 plays I liked. If we would have given it all out, we would have been 13-7. But still, great winning weekend. We're going to continue to build on this thing. Again, in 9 years of existence, we've had one losing season. We are going to kill it for you. Jump on board at lanceslock.com. All four quarterbacks got to play better tonight. You look at Derek Carr. Saints get the win. He throws for over 300 yards, but he missed a lot of easy throws last week against the Titans. Obviously, Bryce Young was bad. The offensive line is awful for Carolina, but Bryce has got to make better decisions and maybe use his legs a little more. Obviously, you don't want to put yourself out there and take some big hits, but Bryce has got to move around a little bit better, and he's got to get more comfortable in the pocket. On the other side, Deshaun Watson, as dominant as Cleveland was against Cincinnati, Deshaun wasn't good. And then obviously Kenny Pickett, as good as he was in the preseason, he was awful against what is maybe the best team in football right now, San Francisco.
A 3-year ban from the Swamp. That's all you get for rushing the field. Tennessee fan Trey Wallace with a good story at Outkick. Tyler, do you have the Tennessee fan? This is him rushing on the field, and of course he's got the camera rolling. A great camera site there. He gets a long run on this field too.
The best run of the night for Tennessee,
and he said that best run of the night. That's exactly what he put on TikTok there. Trey Wallace with the story on him. I gave myself up. I kept telling myself I'm doing this for fun and for the fans, so I don't want to do anything to get myself into serious trouble. Said the guy that was running onto the field there. As soon as the cops got in front of me, I stopped and put my hands behind my back. I knew my fate at that point as he ran onto the field. Dylan Duggan's his name, just to say he was trying to make Tennessee fans have a good moment inside the stadium.
Yeah, but if I'm like a Florida player, I line him up and take him down as hard as I can. And that's the problem with going on the field is like your head's got to be on a swivel.
That's right.
Because you are fair game to anybody out there.
Yeah, I say we should get our taser game going or shoot somebody in the foot in front of the 88,000 fans there or something. Up the charges. A 3-year ban.
Oh.
I mean, what was the chance of him going to another Tennessee-Florida game anyway? They only go back once in those years.
How much alcohol you think he had in his system?
I would say a little bit. I'd say a little bit.
Go read Trey's story there at Outkick on the guy who rushed the field trying to just make Tennessee fans. I tweeted we should make the penalty a little harsher, and then Trey, wait till you read my story tomorrow. He sent it to me, and I went back to him. I was like, oh, please don't tell me he was like, a terminally ill kid, and this was his make-a-wish to run onto the field in Florida field.
He told his nephew in the hospital, you watch me, I'll run on the field.
For you, man.
Stay alive for that.
Yeah. All right. We're ready for trash, brought to you by Mortgage Right. Hit it.
Spell it with me. W-I-N-E-R. The Texan winning big at the spelling bee. There's 2 wins there. Oh, did I spell it wrong?
LT's Trash is presented by Mortgage Right. Mortgages done the right way.
Hey, let the experts at Mortgage Right help get your financial house in order. With locations in Birmingham and Leeds, Mortgage Right offers a variety of loan products, fast and free pre-approvals, and reliable hands-on assistance that will help you take advantage of all available home buying and refinance options. Take control today. Visit Mortgage Right at their locations, Highway 280 in Birmingham, Parkway Drive in Leeds. You can apply, mortgageright.com/TNR. Call 205-815-9200, NMLS 2239, Equal Housing Lender. Rocky Local. The minor high school band director was arrested after an incident at a football game at Jackson Olin on Thursday night. Now, Birmingham Police Department said Johnny Mims was charged with disorderly conduct, harassment, and resisting arrest. Jefferson County School Superintendent Dr. Walter Gonsolin released the following statement Friday afternoon, quote, "We are aware of the incident that occurred after the minor and Jackson Olin football game. I'm in the process of gathering all the facts, and I feel it would be inappropriate to comment further until that process is complete. I urge everyone not to jump to conclusions." Now, police said after the game ended, officers were clearing out the stadium when they saw that both bands were still playing music. Police said the bands were asked to stop performing so attendees and students would leave the stadium. Police said Jackson Olin's band stopped performing, but minors continued. Birmingham Police Department sergeant was among the officers who attempted to get Mims to stop his band from performing. During the officer's interaction with Mims, police said the decision was made to place him in custody for disorderly conduct. Now, during the incident, police said officers tried to get Mims to place his hands behind his back, but he refused.
I'm directing. I can't.
Arresting officer claimed Mims pushed him during the arrest. Police said the arresting officer then subdued the band director with a taser, which ended in a physical confrontation. How do we not have this on film?
There is TikTok, but it's a mess. I saw a TikTok on it from AL.com, Carol Robinson. It's a mess, so you can't really see anything.
So
I envision him, Rockstar, where they hit him with the taser and him going down, the band still playing it. Like he's shaking it.
Yeah, the notes are getting a little more odd.
Yeah.
I was pre-reading trash in halftime of the noon games yesterday.
I thought you were about to say in traffic.
And I've done that before. And I just laughed out loud at this next one. I've told you guys AI is going to be the decay of our society.
That is correct, yes.
Now, Microsoft's move to fire its human news division and lean into the use of artificial intelligence for its news services apparently continue to yield utterly disastrous results. Now, SMN, Microsoft's news aggregation site, hosted then deleted an obituary for former NBA player Brandon Hunter. It sported the headline, Brandon Hunter, useless at 42.
Oh no. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah,
it's true.
I was in.
It is true.
I was in a fantasy basketball league one time, and sadly, he was on my team.
Well, he did pass away sadly earlier this week. The entirety of the obit is filled with AI-generated gibberish. One of them goes on to say, throughout his NBA profession, he performed in 67 video games over 2 seasons and achieved a career high of 17 factors in a recreation in opposition to the Milwaukee Bucks in 2004.
Wow.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Print it.
Heartfelt.
Brandon Hunter.
Video games is pretty good.
So I think moving forward, we always get the dead celebrity in caps. We got to put the dead celebrity with useless at.
Well, I get. Do y'all get the news updates like on your phone?
Yes.
Apple News. And then it's always like legendary singer dead at 43. And then I click on it and it's a band, not a singer I haven't heard of, a band I haven't heard of. Like they're the most misleading. Sports star dead at 41. And I click on it and it's like.
You know why? Because you click it.
I guess so, Rockstar.
That's what
exactly
what they want you to do.
So Leno Thomason is a 32-year-old street performer known as the Cuban Iron Man. Now, he's allegedly been conditioning his body by iron by hitting himself with a heavy hammer around 1,000 times a day. You know what this guy doesn't have, Brown?
The pesky little job.
Yeah, he could not have a job if he's hitting himself with a hammer 1,000 times a day.
But no wonder he's swole.
Now, the so-called Cuban Iron Man first garnered media attention in 2020 when a video showing him banging his fist and elbows against concrete walls went viral. Since then, his strongman reputation has been steadily growing. These days, he has an Instagram following over 100,000 people, makes a living by putting on street performances in which he showcases his strength. Most of the time does push-ups on his wrist with another person on his back, uses that large hammer there to hit his wrist, fist, and shins, or he has someone else to do it to prove it's not fake.
I've seen Lunsford do it on his shins.
Now,
What's Carlton from Fresh Prince up to?
You're right. It is. It's Swole Carlton.
The fit-looking Iron Man claims he started conditioning his body by hitting himself with a hammer when he was only 15.
How do you discover this one? Like, you know what? You know what helps me is hit myself with a hammer.
What music's playing in the background when he's performing, Rockstar?
I don't know. I'm just thinking it was Cuban music. I'm just curious of.
A lot of things in this.
Yeah, there's just how to make money from this, like to be encouraged. Like,
well,
I can't do
doing
anything.
it for tips.
What about that hammer thing you do?
Yeah,
I can't make money on that.
I mean, if he was to
go to the streets,
if him and another dude were going to fight with hammers in the streets, it might be something I would stop for. But I'm not going to stop to see him hit himself.
So nobody thinks he goes hammer time in the background when he brings out the hammer.
Okay.
Okay, a woman
hammer
from
time.
Northern.
That little guy moved across the stage.
He got after it.
With those weird britches. Come on, Sean.
A woman from Northern Ontario said she had, quote, no idea why a box was delivered to her containing more than 1,000 Trojan condoms.
I think somebody's sending you a message there, ma'am.
Quote, we received this box. It contained 30 boxes of condoms that had 34 in each package, and we had no idea why they were sent to us. Joelle Angel Hart told CTTV News Toronto. Angel Hart said that her Husband did get an email from Amazon, said the contraceptives were on the way, but they assured it was a scam. They ignored it.
I don't know.
At the time the package arrived, the husband was in the hospital recovering from an illness that they were both baffled as to why they received the delivery.
Yeah.
I wonder if he was battling dehydration.
I do appreciate the fact that I'm going to open this big box of condoms and show you my cleavage at the same time
Okay,
in the photo.
Call the news.
Can you see it? Take a picture now. Take a picture now.
Yeah.
So, according to the Better Business Bureau, if you receive an unwanted package, notify the retailer, attempt to identify the sender, check your account for recent orders, change your account passwords, and protect your identity.
I've never seen that color before, that packaging.
You buy a lot of those, Jimmy?
No, back in the day.
Here we go. So, I've got a ton of DVDs still. I've got some VHS tapes. I just don't know where they are. But there's collectors out there that are spending a lot of money for old VHS tapes.
Are they?
Yeah. eBay says that around 250,000 VHS tapes are sold on the online selling platform every year.
Why would people do that?
Yeah. Additionally, it revealed more than $3 million has been spent on VHS tapes by eBay buyers. You know, people like to collect weird stuff. But here are some of the price tags. Back to the Future selling for around $1,000. Fast and the Furious, $1,000. Teen Wolf, almost $1,200 on eBay. Gremlins, a copy goes for $1,250. First Blood with Sylvester Stallone, $1,525. The same for Halloween 2. Dumbo sold for a little bit more than that, almost $1,600.
Random inclusion here, Dumbo, in all those movies.
The thing is, I think these have to be unopened, pristine condition.
Yeah.
Like,
Who's
it's
got
not
an
like
unopened VHS tape?
Yeah. Conan the Barbarian, $1,700. Taxi Driver, $1,900. The Goonies, $4,000. And The Nightmare on Elm Street went for $5,000 recently on eBay. This is gonna be good news for me once the DVD
That's
the
right.
the DVDs start to do this.
But you don't have any that's unopened.
Yeah, I got a few.
You got a few that's
Have you
unopened?
seen how many he's got? Yeah.
I think I've got a Rocky that's unopened, and I've got because I got multiple copies.
I would put those up at this point.
Yeah, might as well. Right?
I would put it in a safe deposit box because they're going to be valuable.
So Colombia's biggest export
Cocaine.
over the years,
800 pounds.
But he knows
has
his
been
physics.
oil. But you know what the biggest export will be this year?
Oh, I'm going to guess it's an illicit drug.
It's been oil?
Yeah, it's been oil. Now, Colombia's cocaine output.
I think we're just now getting around to admitting what it really is.
Is this story from 1979?
We call it noise. No, golly.
You're bad
We
today.
call it no, golly.
They surged to
No
a record
oil. Yes.
1,738 tons last year, nearly double the 972 tons it produced in 2021. According to Bloomberg, oil experts, meanwhile, have plunged 30% during the first half of this year. Now, Bloomberg economist Felipe Hernandez said the increase in coca production could mean cocaine export revenues will jump to $18.2 billion in 2022.
I'm not shocked.
I'm not either, but you know, the more the fentanyl's out there, like if you were a person that likes to do cocaine, how could you really trust a product like that on the street?
Oh, I don't think you do.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
you do.
Again, it's doubled now.
I'm with Dunaway. I think we're just now getting around to admitting their number one export is cocaine. I think it's probably been their number one export a while.
Stacy says, my wife and I have a lot of the original Disney VHS tapes. We started buying them when we got married in 1997, having them for when we had kids.
Case open like a book. I remember I had those thick cases for the Disney VHS.
Yeah.
We had a ton of them as a kids too.
Yeah. I used to hate because over in that area, the TV area, you would end up having like 12 cassette tapes out at one point. You'd have them in a stack, and then the dog would knock them open, and then it'd be just spread on the carpet.
Well, the Armoire, I think, is the dying breed when it came to holding the TV. But I remember the bottom of mine had all the VHS.
You pull them
tapes
out, and you had them in the slots and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, me too. That's Trash Today, brought to you by Mortgage Right.
Hey, are you a veteran looking for a VA loan? Mortgage Right has been advocating for veterans since their company began. As a veteran-owned, operated company committed to your well-being, they can help you find the best terms available, guide you through every step of the process. Visit their locations. Highway 280 in Birmingham, Parkway Drive in Leeds. You can apply. MortgageRight.com/TNR or call 205-815-9200. NMLS 2239, Equal Housing Lender.
All right, when we come back, a little bit more Saban and Hugh Freeze. We'll hear from Nick Saban at the top of the hour and Hugh Freeze in the next hour, part of our overtime today. Some injury news from Hugh Freeze. We'll get to that when we come back. All on the show that's being brought to you by our friends at Champy's, world-famous fried chicken. Highway 119 in Alabaster. Stop by and see Sterling. Perfect as the weather gets a little cooler now. Champy'sChicken.com, Highway 119 in Alabaster.
Take the next round anywhere you go with official Next Round gear. Buy yours today at nextround.store.
Stop by the New York Butcher Shop and pick up the finest in certified Angus prime beef steaks and burgers, premium pork chops, ribs, and all-natural chicken cut to order just for you. Their chef-prepared entrees and side dishes are the perfect dinner-to-go choice for your family and are ready to heat at home. With a great selection of fine wines and desserts, the New York Butcher Shop is your one-stop dinner shop. 2 locations to serve you, Cahaba Heights and on Highway 119 in Greystone. The New York Butcher Shop, rare quality, well-done service.
The next round brought to you by the biggest and baddest track in NASCAR, the Talladega Superspeedway. The Yellowwood 500 NASCAR Playoffs weekend is coming up. You don't want to miss it. The action kicks off Saturday, September 30th with the Craftsman Truck Series Playoffs race, all leading up to the NASCAR Cup Series Playoffs on Sunday, October the 1st. Be there to see these drivers battle for 500 miles to survive and advance to the next round of the playoffs. Get your tickets now at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com. Again, that is TalladegaSuperspeedway.com.
Start your day online with our website, nextroundlive.com, for the latest videos, podcasts, and college football stories. It's also a great way to stream the show or shop in the Next Round store. Stay connected by visiting nextroundlive.com.
Man, I love a good meal. I'm Jim Dunaway. A good meal is what you get with my friend Sterling at Champy's Chicken on Highway 119 in Alabaster. We're talking great southern fried chicken, wonderful sides, hand-cut chicken fingers, po' boys, and those Mississippi Delta recipe tamales. You got a perfect menu for everybody. Champy's Chicken is perfect for watching the big game or taking a meal to the lake house, down to the coast, or stay in the restaurant and dine in a great atmosphere. It's all made fresh to order right there on 119 in Alabaster, Champy's Chicken. The wait is over. Tonali has arrived. Beautifully distinctive Italian styling and performance. Come test drive the all-new 2024 Alfa Romeo Tonali plug-in hybrid at Alfa Romeo of Birmingham. The all-new Tonali offers best-in-class horsepower and torque, fastest 0 to 60 times in its class, plus best-in-class range with full electric charge. And best of all, qualified Tonali leasees are eligible for up to $7,500 EV tax credit factored into your lease. Hurry down to Alfa Romeo of Birmingham and experience the all-new Tonali.
The Next Round Golf Cart is here. Your chance to play 4 area golf courses for just $89. Get 18 holes in cart at Limestone Springs, Cross Creek, The Meadows, and the newly renovated Woodward Golf Club. A $247 value for just $89. Get your golf cart now at nextround.store.
You hear a lot of interesting phrases while playing golf, like, I think you're on the beach, or the classic, you gotta hit it, Alice. One word you're sure to hear right now at Bentbrook Golf Club is wow. Brand new carts with complimentary GPS, and the bent grass greens are so consistent, you just might drain a few more putts, Alice. Tee it up and find out for yourself. Book around today at bentbrook.com or call 428-1999. It's better at Bentbrook.
Bad loss for me, a couple of late night steak bets that we made on our morning show. I had Arkansas against BYU, right? And I had Arizona State against Fresno. Were those the two?
Those are the two.
And I lost both of those, so I'm down to only 9 stakes up. Brought to you by our friends at New York Butcher Shop. Everybody was by New York Butchers this weekend to get the meat.
Yeah, so I went in, and my man Jim pulls out his Next Round shirt under his butcher coat, and says Brown had just left, but I called ahead. Had me 3 of the 8-ounce prime fillets ready to roll. Picked up some roasted vegetables. Got some of the delicious mashed potatoes. And do you guys know anybody that's never had Kraft mac and cheese?
I do not know anybody that's never had Kraft mac and cheese.
Maddie has not had Kraft mac and cheese. Because I forgot to get Jack mac and cheese, so I had a box laying around.
Mm-hmm. She has had it now?
This was the first time she had ever tried it.
Wow.
But I don't suggest that. I suggest getting the delicious mac and cheese from the New York Butcher Shop. Rare quality, well-done service. 2 locations, Highway 119 and the original in Cahaba.
Can I do the reenactment of Maddie trying that? She went.
She took 2 bites.
Caviar taste.
She loved it?
I mean, she didn't dislike it. I would put a little milk and butter in there, whole milk and butter. But, I mean, I still like the original Kraft mac and cheese.
Unpopular opinion. maybe for some. I was in there Friday night. Prime better than Wagyu for me. I'd rather have a prime steak than a Wagyu
I'm not a
steak.
big Wagyu fan.
I like Wagyu, but I like prime better.
I've had it once.
No, it's good. I mean, it's good. Don't get me wrong.
I like how rich it is because I can eat like a 5 or 6 ounce and I'm fine.
Yeah, but I like prime better.
But of course, I didn't cook it. I mean, I cooked it, so I probably didn't cook it right. I should try it. I should try it out sometime. But I enjoy the prime when I'm in New York Butcher as well. Injury update from Auburn. You'll hear from Hugh Freeze in our overtime segment coming up after the show is live in the 12 o'clock overtime today. Nick Saban and Hugh Freeze news conference, but a pretty big one for Auburn.
Keontae Scott, the Auburn defensive back, is out for an extended period of time. Hugh Freeze saying he had surgery today. It was an ankle injury in the Sanford game. This not only hurts them on defense, one of their playmakers, it hurts them in the kicking game too. He's an excellent punt returner. And this is a significant loss for Auburn going into SEC play. It's a thin roster. You cannot have top-line starters missing extended time. For Auburn.
And you need guys that can put you in good field position. Short fields for what seems to be, I don't want to call them an anemic offense, but I guess you can. I mean, 7 turnovers the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. Speaking of going into SEC play, here's Hugh Freeze after the win on Samford about the move to SEC play.
I'm always wanting to improve. There's times that we don't play great fundamental football, and those plays I know will haunt us, and so I want to get rid of those. But I'm very pleased with the kids. I love being around them. I love the group of kids and coaches, and I think they're enjoying, the journey we're on. You're going to get tested here real quick with the A&M and Georgia and LSU coming up. I believe that's the next 3, if my memory's right. And, it'll test all of us. And we're very young in our journey. And how we handle both successes and failures, I think, will be vital.
A&M, Georgia, LSU, if my memory's right.
Yeah.
There's a good chance that your nightmares are A&M, Georgia, and LSU. But this team is unbeaten.
They're unbeaten, and A&M got back up on the horse, and now it was against La Monroe, so I still don't know what A&M is. Their last time they were tested, it did not go well down in Miami.
I still think A&M's good. Wagman's a good quarterback.
Yeah.
He played without Evan Stewart this past week. This can be a really, really tall task. I think the number's too short. I think the number would have been double digits if Cal would have held on and beat Auburn. But that number's 7.5 right now. I think you're getting value with Texas A&M.
The most impressive thing about Auburn, now Keontae Scott hurts this, is Ron Roberts' defense. The way the Auburn defense is played, again, I know it was just Samford. I'm going to say that. That's a good offense, though. I mean, that's an offense that would go to a lot of places and score a lot of points, and Auburn shut them down pretty well. Just 13 points out of Samford. I thought Samford would score in the mid to high 20s in that game.
Front 7 will be tested against the size of Texas A&M and the way Bobby Petrino likes to attack front 7s in the passing game and the running game. That'll be fun to watch this weekend to see how they hold up straight out of game day on the front 7 defensively, and can Peyton Thorne and the offense do something. On the flip side, we talked about it on Monday Morning Live, and we've talked about it several times here today. The concern for Alabama isn't just quarterback. It has to do with the offensive line. Nick Saban, after the win in Tampa, asked and talking about the O-line.
How would you evaluate the offensive line's performance overall today?
Well, how many sacks did they have? Based on that, I wouldn't evaluate it very, very well. Some of them were mental errors. We knew they were going to pressure a lot. They got a really good pressure package. We messed up the protections several times. We got beat a couple times. So we need to get that fixed because that's been an area that has been a consistent problem for us all year. Last week with the sacks, this week with the sacks, and those are drive killers, and we got to eliminate that.
Drive killers indeed for Alabama. Here comes Ole Miss now in a mybookie.ag 7-point, 1-possession type game. Bama's favored by a touchdown.
Proctor's a problem at left tackle, and it showed up Saturday, and then Alabama's backs just don't protect their quarterback very well.
That one Jace McClellan
I don't know
blitz.
what he was doing. I mean, the guy ran right past Proctor, and the McClellan looks like he was trying to dance with him. It was the weirdest move. It was like he was holding that. I don't know what he was doing. He wasn't blocking him. I do know that.
Well, you heard Klatt. I mean, if they get in situations where they're throwing the football a lot, and they're playing from behind, they're going to lose a couple of
They are.
games just because pass protection.
Again, that offensive line is why you have to go with Milroe. You absolutely have to go with Milroe because he has the legs to get out of those bad situations.
But I think every Alabama fan who's watching saying, okay, go with Milroe, but you as a coaching staff have to design the playbook for what he can do. He cannot run what Bryce Young and the rest of them have run. But you've got to design a lot more of the quarterback runs.
Because that will slow down the pass rush, Jim, and it will draw the safeties up, which should open up the pass game a little bit. And it will open up Alabama's run game. You know, you heard Klatt talk about how much he liked what Alabama's doing in the run game. And I thought Roydale Williams was fantastic. When Alabama went to the 4-minute offense to close that game out, Williams was dang near unstoppable. I like what he brings to the table. They got to continue to do that, and I think the design quarterback runs would only help all of that.
Again, players only meeting told us by Tyler Booker earlier in the show. You can go back and watch Tyler Booker wherever you get the podcast and video cast here of the next round, including Apple and Spotify. The best win out of conference of the SEC may end up being Missouri beating nationally ranked Kansas State. They did it on a 61-yard SEC record-long field goal from Harrison Mevis. The thicker kicker hits the 61-yarder, and it was after one of the more boneheaded coaching decisions I've ever seen.
I've never seen it.
They clocked it, and their special teams coach and I guess their head coach thought they had a timeout.
Yeah, so if you didn't watch the end of this game, Missouri is driving to try to kick the game-winning field goal. And this is how bad Eli Drinkwitz, who I've been a pretty big critic of, this is how bad he mismanaged this. They complete the ball short of the sticks in bounds, clock running, and they don't use the timeout. The next play, they get the first down, clock stopped. They're too unorganized to get their team up and spike it, so then they have to use a timeout with the clock stopped. Made no sense. They lost 10 seconds on that one exchange right there.
And I thought for sure they were going to lose the game based on that.
I did too, Lance.
But the kicker was going to be 5 yards short.
But then they managed to actually get into field goal range after all of that.
And by the way, he hit a bomb.
As Dunaway said, they stopped the clock, and then everybody's just standing around on the sidelines. And you know who's not doing anything? Eli Drinkwitz.
Well, he's turned his back to the special teams huddle, expecting them, I guess, when he turns back around to be on the field.
I don't know.
And when he turns back around, they're still standing on the sideline like it's a TV timeout, and he goes running up, and they can't get on the field.
So you get a delay that results in a 61-yard game-winning attempt.
Yeah, which is
just
an SEC
coaching
record, which surprised me that was an SEC record still, 61 yards.
Yeah, the last, was it 61 or 60 from Kevin Butler, Georgia?
It was 60 probably.
Yeah. The one that beat Clemson, I think it was.
Yeah, I thought it was going to get blocked for a touchdown, but he hit a bomb. They're 3-0 now. As bad as they looked in a win against Middle Tennessee State, a team that Alabama dominated the week before, a game that really Missouri should have lost last week. That's a bad loss for Kansas State. But Will Howard, you guys saw it down the stretch. He wasn't 100%. He was limping around.
He was. Both quarterbacks were, to be fair. Brady Cook was, too.
Yeah, but Chris Kleiman, his offense is really based around the dual threat that Will Howard
I thought
is.
Howard was gutsy. Both of them, really, but especially Howard. He was gutsy to stay in there and play.
Brady Cook, 356 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Luther Burden is a stud, 114 more yards and a couple of touchdowns. Eli Drinkwitz, though, afterwards, not happy with the sold-out Missouri crowd.
Redemption's a beautiful thing, and hopefully it will quiet the noise and get people to be pushing in one direction, to be quite honest. I'm going to say it. It pissed me off when we booed our starting quarterback to start the game. That pissed me off. And he went out there and played his butt off for this university and this team. They need to get behind him. We need to get behind the young man. You want to boo me, fine. You don't boo the starting quarterback. It's bull crap. I'll say it again. Should never happen.
Yeah, a little Coach Taylor from Friday Night Lights there.
I agree with him, though,
It pissed me off that they were booing the starting quarterback.
If your starting quarterback, throws a bunch of picks and you end up losing the game, then, you can boo him when he's coming off the field, but booing him when he's announced starting quarterback, and he played well.
He did.
Again, they're 3-0. I said Luther Burden was going to be the best player on the field. He looked to be the best player on the field.
Absolutely.
You wonder, he's from East St. Louis. Do you think He's one of these guys. I mean, how much money would you pay Luther Burden his final year of college next year?
Oh, my gosh. He is a star. Because I was going to ask you guys, best receiver in the conference, is it Malik Neighbors or Luther Burden?
Yeah, yes. Both of those.
I'd take either one.
But, I mean, I think he's a million, probably $2-3 million receiver, and you wonder if he stays in home state or goes somewhere, try to make a lot of NIL and maybe win a championship.
Or just go to the NFL.
Well, he's a true sophomore.
Yeah, I think he's got to play one more year. Yeah, because you remember he was a true freshman last year and seemed unhappy with the situation there.
Right.
Wasn't getting the touches he wanted.
It'll be interesting to see if he stays there. As you said, East St. Louis, they played this week, Memphis, Missouri, in St. Louis. His, not exactly his hometown, just across the river from his hometown. Odie's bringing us our final thought, and then we'll get to the Nick Saban News Conference. Tell us about our friends at Odie's.
Live music every Friday and Saturday night. Great food every single day at Odie's from Rodney Davis. Been cooking it up for more than 3 decades. The award-winning wings, delicious burgers, great sandwiches, including the Diablo sandwich, ice-cold beer buckets full of Bud Light. We've got Odie's team trivia every Wednesday night. Go out, see Will Haver and that great staff. It's a Birmingham institution, Odie's Tavern, Crestline Village.
All right. Hats off to Matt Rule and Coach Sat out at Nebraska. Probably wanted their first win as Nebraska coaches to happen before this, but they finally got it over Northern Illinois 35-3 this weekend. Hopefully it's the first of many for them at Nebraska. That was a big win for those guys there. And then Michael Penix Jr. Did it again. 375 yards, 4 touchdowns just in the first half at Michigan State. It'll be fun to see what Michael Penix Jr. can do as soon as the schedule gets a little tougher.
I mean, Washington, week one after watching them against Boise, what really jumped out at me is Penix is going to be good. He was great last year, but their defense is so improved. They have outscored their 3 opponents 140-36. Kalen DeBoer is one of the more underrated coaches that people will really start to talk about, but that is a dangerous team.
It really is. They are so good. Everybody's starting to circle that Washington-USC game that will be played in L.A., and may not be the only time we see them play this year. Washington is, I think, very legit.
And Alabama drops out of the top 10 in the AP poll to number 13. It's the first time in 128 weeks that Alabama was not in the AP top 10. Second all time to Miami, who went from 1985 to 93. I thought we, just a few more weeks this year. I thought that was one Alabama was going to chase down in the AP poll. They didn't get there.
Yeah, I never thought South Florida would be what would bring it to an end, though.
If Bama loses this week, I think they're out of the top 25.
I don't know. I think they might hang in there.
It's going to be tight. If they lose this week, we can start seriously talking about could Alabama be that team that started off in the preseason AP top 10 that finishes the season unranked.
Who is that team right now?
Alabama's trending that way.
Yeah, Alabama's trending that way right now. LSU people thought for a while, but that's not the case right now. Big bounce back for LSU. All right, that's the show now. We are done. We appreciate you being with us, but overtime's coming up. We'll go to Tuscaloosa with all of Lane Kiffin's talking about who's really calling defensive plays in Tuscaloosa. We'll see what Nick Saban has to say in that news conference and about the players-only meeting that Tyler Booker told us about here on our show today. That and more coming up in overtime. Until next time, God bless you and God bless America. And overtime brought to you by our friends at Lance'sLock.com. Lance'sLock.com. 5-1 on Sunday was Lance Taylor as I bring in Ryan Brown and company. Lance'sLock.com. Go play there now. A couple of Monday night games up. Also by our friends at Roback. Roback.com, where you can jump on with the promo code TNR20 to get 20% off your first purchase there. 20% off the first purchase there. All right, Brownie, we're getting ready for the Alabama news conference with Nick Saban here. Huge game for Alabama now with Ole Miss as you get into SEC play.
Well, it's massive. I mean, SEC play is a different animal, as you well know, and some of the mistakes Alabama has made against Middle Tennessee and against South Florida, they can't do those and still get away with it. Now, on the other side, I think you've probably identified who you need to play at quarterback now after the experiment on Saturday, and it's going to be Jalen Milroe. So if it is Milroe and that's the guy you want to use for the rest of the season, Jim, you hope Saturday, him standing on the sidelines, watching his team struggle without him out there was a wake-up call to him about how much of this is on his shoulders. Maybe a wake-up call is a bad phrase, but maybe he's ready to embrace that this is his offense. Everything is on his shoulders. He's got to protect the football better than he did against Texas.
In 2015, which was the last time Alabama was out of the AP top 10, where they are now at number 13, Jake Coker experienced sort of the same thing, where he was, not the starting quarterback for a game in week 3. He ended up coming in relief in that game. Milroe did not in this case. But then he had a great rest of his year. He sort of used that as the wake-up call, as the moment to sort of change his attitude of the way he was playing quarterback. And Jalen Milroe gets that opportunity most likely this weekend, even though that's not official yet, from Alabama head coach Nick Saban. Injuries, an issue as well for Alabama. Tyler Booker and a couple others did not play this past week at South Florida. Booker was with us earlier.
Yeah, he said he felt better. It was a back spasm issue with him. He did not say this. I would just say if it had been a bigger game, you wonder, Jim, if he probably would have tried to gut it out just a little bit. Maybe being South Florida, the coaches wanted to rest him and make sure it's better going into conference play.
Yeah, it did seem like it was precautionary.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. Joel Klatt, and I kind of agree with what Klatt said, that he felt like this was being used last week as this past Saturday as a scrimmage for Alabama. And Nick Saban would never in a million years admit that. But to Klatt's point, I think Nick Saban knew he could go in and play either one of those quarterbacks. They win the game. They're able to run the ball. And, in fact, 203 total rushing yards from the Alabama backfield. It's why Jason McClellan and Roydale Williams are the two offensive players that Alabama's coaching staff has selected for their players of the week. I think they probably knew they could run the football effectively no matter who is the quarterback in there. So you get a chance with live action with the lights on to see, if Ty Simpson or Tyler Buckner could be a difference for this team. I think you saw some flashes out of Ty Simpson. I think you probably established the fact that Tyler Buckner probably cannot cut it for you.
10 of 23, the combo together there, and Ty was 5 of 9 of that. 5 more sacks, though, and you wonder if after a performance like Milroe had against Texas, and there was some open competition, you wonder if there's any open competition this week at left tackle. If Alabama keeps riding with the 5-star true freshman Caden Proctor and let him learn on the job, or if they try to move pieces around to try to shore up that side of the line.
You know what's interesting about it, Jim, is normally your reaction would be, well, if nothing else, you got to give him a little help over there. Well, the problem in that is you don't have particularly good pass blockers as running backs. That has been a weakness for this team, especially with McClellan. I'm not sure how good Nyblack is at blocking, but he's obviously the most talented receiving tight end, though he kind of disappeared from the game Saturday after having a pretty good game against Texas. So you kind of have your hands full if you're Alabama trying to figure out what to do on that left side. The guy you got starting there has struggled in pass protection. There's no two ways about it.
Yeah, and then defensively this week, here comes a running attack from last year with Quinshon Judkins that has yet to find its stride in Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin designs plays much like Steve Sarkisian.
Yeah.
And Jackson Dart is definitely a threat at hurting you by running the football with his legs at quarterback.
Yeah, he can beat you with his legs, but last year that was something Ole Miss didn't really take big advantage of. They kept him in the pocket throwing a lot. He had some success against Alabama last year. It was a game without Bryce Young. Alabama easily loses that game in Oxford last year. The point spread is indicative of this, with Alabama only being a 7-point favorite in this game. It's a tough spot for Alabama. There's no doubt. Jackson Dart's playing pretty good football. He was challenged in the offseason with that quarterback room and all those guys that Lane Kiffin brought in. He responded well to that. The one thing, the guy we have spent a lot of time talking about is Quinshon Judkins. And I was just going to pull the numbers up real quick. If you look at the SEC rushing, you got to go a long way to find Quinshon Judkins. He is 15th in the conference right now. He's only averaging 48 yards a game through 3 games. This is a guy that was one of the best running backs in the nation last year. They've struggled to run the football effectively.
And they've been in a couple of dogfights with Tulane and Georgia Tech. The Georgia Tech game was closer than the final score indicated. Lane Kiffin had some words to say about maybe Travaris Robinson calling defensive plays. Let's listen into Nick Saban today.
So after watching the film, what I said after the game really kind of goes. We had a lot of players that really competed hard in this game, played hard, competed well. We didn't always execute the way we want to execute, and I think everybody can look to something that they can improve on, and that's certainly going to be, the focus, that we have this week. There's a responsibility that goes with that for the player, but also for the coaches, so that, we're doing things that players can do so they can go on the field and play fast and know exactly what they're supposed to do and go out there and execute it. And I think that's, going to be important for all of us this week. So, when our guys get out there, they can play fast. Look, we're looking forward to, SEC opener. We've had 3 games to kind of evaluate our team in a lot of different areas. Ole Miss is a really, really good team. Lane has done a great job there with the program. This is one of the best offensive teams in the country in terms of things that they do, multiples that they have, the way their players are coached and how they execute. They're playing better on defense. So, this is a really, really good team. And, we're going to have to play, our best, and we need to improve to be able to do that. On 2 points, I think, from a quarterback standpoint, this is all I'm going to say about this. Jalen really showed the leadership that I was looking for, during the game in terms of supporting his teammates and doing the things he needed to do. He's had the opportunity to play, so as the other guys. Jalen played the best of all those guys, and so I think he's earned the opportunity to be the quarterback. On this other thing that I hear floating around out there, I'm sure you've seen the same reports that I've seen, is Kevin Steele is the defensive coordinator. He has all the defensive coordinator responsibilities. The only thing that we tried to improve on from an administrative standpoint was game day administration of getting the signals in quicker. All right, so that's the only thing that, we worked on together as a staff. The whole staff made a contribution to it, and I think it was a lot better in this game than it was in the Texas game.
Hey, Coach, just after getting a chance to watch the film, how would you assess the play of the offensive line?
Well, I don't think when you give up 5 sacks and I think that our players they ran a lot of blitzes, a lot of looks, nothing that we really, only one thing that they did that we'd not worked on. But I think the players were not communicating well and not on the same page, sometimes, and I think that created issues and problems. I thought that the offensive line played like our offensive line needs to play in the last 6 minutes and 29 seconds of the game, and that's something that we want to build on.
Tyler Booker mentioned that the players met yesterday, players-only meeting, and he said togetherness is a real point of emphasis for them. How would you assess the togetherness of this group?
Well, I've been pleased with it. I think this was, the first game where I saw some guys, a little frustrated, and I think the frustration came maybe because we weren't as focused as we needed to be, which is my responsibility. So players go out and make some mistakes and things don't go well, and they get frustrated. And as a competitor, you never want to get frustrated. You always want to play the next play. But I think we've talked about how everybody needs to buy in to doing the things they need to do to make their contribution to the team to play winning football. And I think as time goes on and the season goes on, everybody's role gets a little bit more clearly defined. Some guys may be disappointed in their role, but they have to buy into that if they want to make a contribution to the team in a positive way, whether it's on special teams or, being a player that gets an opportunity because somebody's down, whatever that might be.
You mentioned Jalen kind of met the moment in terms of being a leader on Saturday. Is that something you needed to see from him kind of going into the week and you wanted to see more of?
No, I made the comment, and that's the comment. So, he's played the best of the quarterbacks, and that's the way it's the way it is right now.
General question here, not related to the USF game, but when an offense goes with 7-man protection for the quarterback, how difficult is it to get somebody open when there's only 3 guys running routes?
Well, I think you have to have a combination of both. Obviously, a lot of play action passes are supposed to complement the running game, and you don't get 5 guys out in the pattern. So, sometimes you want to secure the protection, and hopefully, the play action passes allow, some vertical routes down the field to be effective. We've hit some explosive plays on those kind of plays this year. 6-man protection, the back gets out late. So, when you get all guys out, you got 5 guys to block 5 guys. So that puts the most stress on the offensive line. So I think you got to have a combination of all 3 of those things to be an effective offensive team.
Seems like Malachi Moore recovered from that minor injury and has played really well over the last few weeks. What have you seen from him, and what type of leader has he been in the defense?
Yeah, Malachi's been the leader of that group. He's the best communicator. He makes a lot of checks, lots of calls, gets everybody on the same page. I think it helps the other players play with a lot of confidence, and he has played very, very well. Puts a lot into it, does everything that we ask of him in terms of effort, toughness, not making mental mistakes, doing things the way we'd like for him to do it. So I'm very pleased with the way he's playing.
Coach Lane Kiffin, you guys know each other clearly well. I believe you talked about when Sark came, they've been taking notes on you for years. Have you been looking at what he does, and what can you say about the program Ole Miss the past few years he's been building?
No, I think they're outstanding. Obviously, they 4th in the country or something in total offense and scoring, 52 points a game and 526 yards. So this is Lane's an offensive guy, did a great job when he was here, and he's doing a great job there. And the players do a great job of executing, which is always a good sign of, a well-coached team. And I think he's done a fantastic job there.
What do you think of how Roydell Williams played Saturday?
Roydell played a great second half. He had over 100 yards rushing in the second half, and we were very pleased. We've always had a lot of confidence in Roydell, so him and Jace both have been very productive so far this year.
Coach, with the outside noise being as loud as it's been, what is your perspective or feel on this team? Because despite what that outside noise might be, this team is sitting at 2-1, about to start SEC play and plenty to play for this season.
Look, I like the team. I got confidence in our team. I really do. We've had some tough stretches before, and players have bounced back, but I think everybody's got to make a commitment to doing that, and it's not easy. We got really tough competition coming up, but everybody's got to challenge themselves, I think, to be their best as a player, be their best as a team guy, be their best as a leader. And I've liked this group so far. I just think, our execution has got to get a little more consistent.
How much has Pete carried over what he did here to what he's doing at Ole Miss defensively?
There's some few things that are a little different, but quite a bit of it's the same, and I'm sure it has something to do with personnel. But I think they're playing better, and that makes them a better team. All right, thank you.
That might have been the record there.
That's Nick Saban there for 9 minutes.
Maybe 9 minutes.
Yeah.
That was crazy short for Nick Saban.
Yeah, going into the Ole Miss game. But he's Nick Saban comes in, we'll call it, for lack of a better term, opening statement. He comes in a couple of things. He wants to make a team point.
Yep.
And then occasionally, if there's something that has become a news story or one he thinks will be a news story, he addresses it there before you can ask the question. Like going into the locker room after the game the other day when Jalen Milroe did not play, he addressed that before there was a question. I know you're going to ask me about quarterbacks, so here's the answer about quarterbacks. So today he does his opening statement, the usual stuff, and then he goes quickly to what Lane Kiffin had discussed about who's really calling the defensive plays in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, that is Travarius Robinson. And a lot of people, I think Mike Rodak of 24/7 had gone back and watched some film and is like, hey, it looks like he's got a play sheet and he's calling the plays. Now, to be fair, Kevin Steele is in the booth, so somebody is going to have to relay to the field what Kevin Steele wants done. He can't relay it to the field from the booth.
Right.
So it would be natural that if somebody is there and he's signaling things in or he's calling from a play sheet that Kevin Steele's talking to him. So I think you do have to, maybe take that under consideration.
Or if I'm just offering advice, Brown.
Right.
If I'm Travaris just offering Kevin advice, hey, remember we wanted to try to do this in this situation, Kevin.
Right, and I mean, there's going to be a different perspective on the field than in the booth, and he's going to see things on the field that Steele's going to miss in the booth, and vice versa. So
Two says he can't stay. Two says he can't stay with their slot guy.
Yeah. What did he tell you when he came off, T-Rob? Well, he told me that they're doing this, this, and this. So I mean, that's just natural, But Lane Kiffin is Lane Kiffin.
But it's brilliant, though. I mean, it throws. Well,
here's Nick Saban having to address it.
And that's all he wants.
Very first day of game week, Nick Saban's having to address it. The other side of that, he addressed quarterback right away. He did not say that Jalen Milroe is the starter moving forward per se, but I don't think he had to say it based on what he just said.
Oh, I think he just said Jalen Milroe is the starting quarterback at Alabama.
He didn't say those words, but I think everything he said tells you that.
Yeah. And that's all my statement is what it is, and I'm going to stick with my statement. But it sounded to me like Jalen Milroe was just named starting quarterback at the University of Alabama.
I'd be stunned if he's not, Jim.
Yeah, so that was there. You had one other thing you wanted to bring up before
I was just going to do TV times real quick if you want to before we go to Hugh Freeze. This is for next week's games.
Week 5.
This is week 5. It's good. They go so fast, Jimmy.
They do.
It's going to start with the straight out of game day game, Florida at Kentucky. A more interesting matchup now after Florida's beaten Tennessee. Yeah. Florida at Kentucky, straight out of game day.
You never take a crowded Rupp for granted, man. Tough win for Florida there.
But it might be on the SEC network as well because they're holding out on Texas A&M Arkansas. That could be straight out of game day. One of those will be SEC network. The other one will be ESPN. CBS, 2:30 kick, Auburn hosting Georgia. Right now, the number 1 team in the land, Georgia, coming to Auburn for the 2:30 SEC kick next week.
Yeah, before that, Auburn's at Texas A&M.
Right.
So worst case scenario, Auburn's a 1-loss team after losing College Station. Best case scenario, if Georgia handles UAB, you get defending national champion coming to play upstart Auburn, unbeaten, in that crazy Jordan House Stadium crowd. It's a good scene, yeah.
Missouri Vandy is a 3 o'clock SEC network kick. LSU at Ole Miss, the Magnolia Bowl, is a 5 o'clock ESPN kick. There's a reason there's a 5 o'clock ESPN kick.
Oh, doubleheader.
More on that in a moment. South Carolina at Tennessee is a 6:30 SEC network kick. And the reason there's a 5 o'clock ESPN kick is there's also an 8 o'clock ESPN kick, and it is Alabama at Mississippi State. So the Tide at Mississippi State, an 8 p.m. Central kick.
I mean, is Starkville Mountain Time Zone now?
8 p.m.
Is that what I'm
Central.
hearing?
When you see that 5 o'clock ESPN SEC game, you know there's a reason. That means there's an 8 o'clock kick. And by the way, games don't last 3 hours. So that's probably at best an 8:20 kick for Bama. I don't know how much. There's a rule on how much they can move the actual kick time.
Yeah,
that'll be later than 8 o'clock though.
So get ready for that game to start on ESPN
No
News
doubt.
or something like that.
No doubt.
I think I'm right about this. Alabama, Mississippi State under Gene Stallings one time kicked off at around 8:30, 8:45.
Yeah, wasn't it the game where the skydiver broke his leg and it delayed the start?
No, it was going to start late anyway.
Yeah, but that delayed it even
but
more.
He did shatter his leg.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And if you'll go back, Alabama, Ole Miss, we've referenced this game a lot recently, 2015, where Alabama lost to Bryant-Denny. That was one of those 8 o'clock kicks, and I think it started like 8:15, 8:20 as well. Yeah.
So late night in Stark Vegas. You never really sleep in Stark Vegas anyway.
Who sleeps there?
That's good. Week 5, but a big week 4 coming up. That includes Auburn on the road at Texas A&M to start SEC play. Our coverage of our news conferences today being brought to you by Roback.com. Ed Orgeron, by the way. We'll show you video of him being announced as the spokesperson for Roback. Roback.com, TNR20. It's great stuff, right, Brown? TNR20 gets you 20% off.
Yeah, their hoodies are fantastic. You know, we play a lot of golf on this show. Their golf shirts are terrific. Everything I've ever gotten from Roback has been phenomenal. I saw our guy Dan Orlovsky wearing some, our guy Peter Burns wearing some. Everybody loves the Roback. Roback.com, code TNR20 at checkout. Save 20%.
Great gifts right there. Great gifts. Lance'sLock.com for the plays tonight on Monday night. He's coming off a 5-1 roll on Sunday in the NFL. Get a couple more winners tonight. Lance'sLock.com. Speaking of winners, Hugh Freeze ain't nothing but a winner so far as the Auburn head coach. He's unbeaten, getting ready for SEC play. Here's the coach.
3-0, another great crowd at Jordan-Hare, and thankful for our great fans, students, band, cheerleaders. Continue to be amazed by the support that you receive here at this place, and excited about any time we get to play at home. And obviously, we've got to go on the road this week, but thrilled to be at 3-0. There was some good things and then some things we've got to improve on for sure. We played a lot of kids, which was good, but a lot of young kids tend to make mistakes, and we had quite a few of those also. And we've got to continue to work on not turning the ball over, particularly in the red zone. And that was really out of our possessions. We had offensively, outside the 2 turnovers, we were pretty efficient offensively. Defensively, I thought we were solid, particularly with the older guys, and there was a lot thrown at them. They had a good plan to try to stay close and shorten the game, and I thought our older guys did fairly well with it. But younger guys made a lot of mistakes, truthfully, and we've got to bring them along because we're going to need them as the season progresses. But excited to be 3-0 and head into conference play.
Coach, can you talk about the run game for a second? You seem to be rotating a lot of backs right now. We're seeing the young guy, Jeremiah Cobb, get a lot of time. Jarquez missed the first game, so he kind of started slow. Like, what do you expect to see from your running backs on?
Well, we really didn't run the ball as well as I'd hoped in this past game, but some of that, they were committed to stopping the run. I mean, they were really anchored in there and bringing the safeties down to the box. Thus, we got some explosive pass plays, but you know, we've said all along we feel good about that room, and I think it's important that we keep them fresh and rotate those guys and try to play to some of their strengths, and like all 4 of them, and like Sean too. So we'll continue to keep rotating them and trying to use them in different packages, and Jeremiah really gives us some flexibility to think he can do a lot of things that we haven't even really gotten to yet, even in the past game. So he's dangerous with the ball in his hands, so we will continue to explore ways to get our best guys on the field.
Do you have an update on Keontae, and if he's not available, where do you go at punt return? We saw Jalen field that one.
Yeah, we were actually down, Vars our second, and he couldn't play, and so we're down to our 3rd guy, and we've got to get some reps this week. Unfortunately, Keontae did not get a good report, and that hurts us a lot. He's our leader back there, and he's going to have surgery today, and just hadn't been a good year for us with injuries. Losing him and Keys on the defensive side it stings and it hurts, and our prayers are with him for quick healing for sure, but we'll be without him for a considerable time.
Hugh, when you look at Texas A&M defensively, they rank 3rd nationally in 3rd down defense. How does that concern you about what you're going to face on 3rd downs this Saturday, and then for your offense, just trying to convert those on the road?
It's a great concern. I want to be really clear. We're playing a team. I'm probably too candid and honest sometimes for some people, but let's just be really clear. We're getting ready to play 3 teams that have, over the last 4 to 5 years, ranked in the top 7 to 5 in recruiting. All right, so you're playing the best recruits in the nation, and we're going to be there soon, and that doesn't mean you can't compete and doesn't mean you can't win the game and all of that, but there's a reason they're 3rd in the nation on 3rd down defense. Is they've got a bunch of 5 stars in the defensive line and at linebacker and at safety and at corner. I mean, they're really, really talented. And when you put on the film, you see that. I mean, their closing speed's incredible. They're physical up front, and it's a tall challenge for us in year 1 to stand toe-to-toe with A&M and Georgia next week and LSU the following week. That it's our goal to get there, but that's what reality is we've had about 8 months to recruit a half a class, and these others have been stacking it, and that's why they're ranked 3rd in the country in 3rd down defense. Is they're incredibly talented.
I know you addressed a little of the injuries, but you guys are pretty banged up. Is Donovan going to be ready? I know it's early in the week. You may not know the status of some of the guys? And then how do you handle practice this week with so many guys banged up?
Yeah, that's a great challenge. We got to get some young guys ready, and they're going to get baptized into the SEC pretty good in front of A&M's crowd and the talent on that team. So, Keontae, we went through. He's, Xavion and Stutz didn't finish the game the other night, so don't really know where they stand right now. I think DK will be fine, but we need all these guys come Saturday. So hopefully we'll have a good week of rehab and they'll be ready to go. But it's concerning right now, the list that they give me this morning.
We saw Jalen get back there and catch a punt and do pretty solid work. Is how much is he involved in this, and that veteran presence may be helpful back there, especially.
He's going to be really, really valuable for his presence in the back end right now. And then we'll start catching punts with a lot of different people today. Coy Moore has done it. Caleb Burton has done it. We'll get on the jugs twice this week and make sure we feel comfortable with who that is. And Jalen may be one of them too.
You guys have forced multiple turnovers in each of your first 3 games. It's the first time Auburn's done that in 4 years. Just how important is that to have that kind of mentality in defense, especially with those really talented teams you've got coming up on the schedule?
Yeah, I mean, that would be a blessing if we could continue that trend to get some turnovers in these games, particularly on the road, would be extremely helpful, particularly if we can take care of the ball. We've got to continue to work on that. But, man, turnovers would play a huge role if we could pick off a few of those in this game.
On Saturday, it's an 11 a.m. kick on the road. People like to say that the road teams benefit from early kickoffs. How do you get your team ready for another road trip? It's the SEC opener, and since it's an early kick at 11 a.m.
Well, I love early kicks on the road. I think our kids will. I don't think that's a huge challenge. Truthfully, it's the same time zone. We'll put them to bed a little earlier, eat a little earlier. But we did that all fall camp. We started early, so it's truthfully will be just like a fall camp day. So I don't think there's a huge adjustment to that at all. And I like the early kicks.
Thanks, Mike. Hey, Hugh, question about your first red zone possession in the last game. I think it was 1st and goal from the 1, and you started passing the ball. Were you kind of experimenting there, or walk me through that?
Yeah, I was disappointed in that a little bit. So I don't mind the first one. Truthfully, I didn't like the second one. I think we've got to probably approach that differently, and I think I've made that clear. So sometimes you put it in your quarterback's hands, and he probably needs to know. But I think we should put it on us for that, and don't give him that option if we're not okay with him throwing it.
Coach, you made a concerted effort to move the ball through the air on Saturday. Texas A&M had the best pass defense in the league last year. You talked about the talent that they have. What are you guys working on this week to continue to progress there? And you used a lot of wide receiver combinations on Saturday as well, too.
Yeah, we're still learning who we are, truthfully, in the wide receiver room. So I think that will continue to be a rotation there. The biggest goal for this week against such a talented team and one that's really, really good on third down is you've got to keep yourself in third and manageable. You can't survive in the 3rd and longs. You're not going to drop back and win a lot of routes against them. They're really talented. So we got to keep it in 3rd and manageable, hopefully short, to where we can run or pass.
Yes, you. Back to the nickel position. I know Caleb Wooden was able to play a lot against California, and then played a lot more against Sanford. What did you see from him?
Solid, but he's got a lot to learn and help, because that star position's got to help get us lined up a lot. And they threw a lot at you, though. I'll say that, and stuff that we really hadn't seen. So That was a difficult challenge. Truthfully, we met this morning and we're just toying with all the different combinations with our current injuries back there on kind of what's best, and hopefully DK can play and he'll move into the star position and maybe move JD Rhyme there and play the younger corners. We're not really sure, and leave Caleb at the high safety because you know we got to have two deep to function, and we're just trying to figure out what the best combination is there, and we're not real sure just yet what that looks like. But Caleb will be a part of it, either at the star or one of the safeties.
Hugh, to people like me who don't always understand the intricacies of football, how often do y'all run RPOs? And can you just kind of describe how that works?
Yeah, a lot the other night. I mean, shoot, I don't know how many completions Peyton had, but I bet 10 of them were on, maybe 12 were on runs, where it's really a box count issue. If you have 6 guys to block in the box for the run and there's a 7th hat that's present, then, you know, the ball should be thrown. And that's about as simple as I can put it. And the other night we were pretty efficient at the RPOs. Robbie was also. I think Robbie was 2 for 2 on 2 RPOs.
Hugh, we've seen and heard about Keldrick since the spring. Had a little setback coming in, but we start to see more and more of him, his productivity. Is he a guy that you feel like can be one of those playmakers up front as he continues to progress?
I do. He had his best game Saturday, and he's starting to learn, and obviously they're just young. You know, I like all these young guys. I think our young DBs are going to be good too, but they're still swimming a bit, learning everything that can get thrown at you in a game at this level. But he had his best game for sure, and we're going to need him moving forward to continue to improve. But he's got the ability to do that.
You, on the subject of the defensive line, I know you guys talked a lot in the preseason about bringing pressure with 3 or 4 guys and kind of collapsing the pocket. Through 3 games, I know the competition level is about to get a lot higher, but what have you seen from them against an A&M offense that is averaging a bunch of pass attempts per game?
Yeah, we haven't done really well rushing the passer with just the front. Some of that, you know, Jalen McLeod's been hurt 2 games, 2 of the 3 games, hadn't been able to perform, so he's probably our best pass rusher, and we've missed having him healthy for sure, and we've had to create it other ways. They present a great challenge. I mean, their quarterback's thrown for 900 yards and 8 TDs, and they got great receivers, one of the best I've seen in Stewart. He's really talented, and I think they're doing some really good things offensively. It would be a great challenge for us to try to keep them under, hopefully keeping them from having explosive plays, particularly ones that lead to points.
Hugh, after going back and watching the film, how do you feel like the offensive line did, especially with the injuries and having to shuffle some guys around?
Not our best game. I thought our pad level was high. Again, some of it, you know, they really were committed to stopping the run. I mean, their backers were at 2 yards deep, and their safeties were down in a hurry. And but we could have played more physical. I do believe that. So it wasn't our best. It wasn't as good as the Cal game or the UMass game. I think Stutz kind of sets the tone, and losing him kind of, I don't know, he's kind of the leader in the bell cow of that group.
Hugh, Bobby Petrino, his offense is somewhat different, I believe, than most. Could you just talk about, beyond just the talent, the challenges it presents?
Yeah, he's very good schematically, very good at scheming. And obviously he checks a lot of his runs based on the looks that you have, and that makes it difficult. He's usually right, and I think we've got to do a great job of disguising things. But you know, he's going to make you stop 12 personnel and spread sets and everything that makes it challenging. And then you combine the talent level he's coaching with his balance on offense of play action and passes and runs, and the quarterback that can extend it with his legs when he needs to. It's a very, very difficult task.
Speaking of the upcoming talent, I'm curious just where's the balance, or I guess what's the challenge of trying to hold some stuff and withstand not showing too much tape to other teams, especially before SEC play, but also trying to build the chemistry and build your team and schematics. And typically at this point in the season, this early, how much is still left on the table to show that you guys haven't used or you haven't put on display?
Well, every game you're going to, have an idea of, this may be advantageous for us to do, and some of it you've done, some of it you haven't. That's pretty normal from game to game, and you pick up on a few things you see on tape that you may think, hey, we have this, so we might ought to use it this week. So, there'll be some things, but obviously if you're going to be really good at something, you need to practice it, and so you can't do too many other things than what your kids have already done, particularly us with our young receivers, and they're just now kind of feeling their way into all of this. I'd hate to change too much on them, but you are always going to look for a few things that might help you, compete in a game.
Coach, last week JG asked you about picking a quarterback and kind of sticking with them. You showed that on Saturday. Are you going to continue with that plan on the quarterback rotations going into Saturday?
Well, that's the plan, as long as we're playing well. Look, this is just like life. You got to do your job well. And if you do your job well, things usually work out. And if you don't, things usually don't work out. And we have confidence, and I thought he threw it really well the other night and made one bad decision, I thought. But the other we kind of should own as coaches. And so hope he continues to build on that. But the guy was like 18 yards away from doing something that I don't know if another Auburn quarterback has done in a long time. You guys say you couldn't find it, maybe ever. But so we hope we build on that and we maintain and gain confidence from it. At the same time, I've been clear about Robbie has a role. I do believe that, and particularly against the level of athleticism we're getting ready to see, I think there's a role for him too, and he threw it well when he came in the other night. So, but you can't be herky-jerky in and out, and I think that's something we all agree on.
So whenever we asked you about the running back room, it feels like it's always a Jeremiah Cobb's name that keeps coming up. We saw him kind of go out as a wide receiver, out wide it looked like. You talked about just kind of finding ways to get him on the field. What has been the process of finding ways to get him on the field so far?
Draw up a play that we want to run with him and get him on the field. That's usually the way it works. Hey, let's go this personnel and put him here, and let's see if we can get him a touch or two, because he just he's probably the fastest kid we have in that room, which speed is a good thing. And so I like all of those guys, but they're just a little different. And, him with the ball in his hands on the perimeter is a little different than some of the others. So it's just a matter of us figuring out what can we handle within the scheme of what we're doing, what can he handle, and the understanding that we have in it. So we'll always be trying to find a few ways to get him some touches.
On the subject of injuries, you talked about how some young guys are going to have to go in. You said all the way back in the beginning of the preseason, there's no depth chart, going to try to spread around reps as evenly as possible. Do you feel like you might be getting some good returns on that? I know you were trying to get a lot of young guys involved throughout the preseason, and now that their opportunities might be a little bigger.
Well, 2 of the 3 games we've played a lot of kids, and so that's helpful to get live reps. Will it be different at A&M? Yes. It's a different skill set they're going to play against, different environment. And I don't know exactly how they'll respond, but, we're forced into it at some spots, truthfully. And we're going to have to find out. They're going to have to grow up pretty fast. Thanks, guys.
All right, that's Hugh Freeze wrapping up our overtime today. And he made a great point in the middle of that. He said the next 3 opponents have all finished in the top 7 to top 5 in recruiting the last 3 years. There's a reason why they're good at doing this or doing that. They have rosters of 4 and 5 stars at every position.
Which Auburn doesn't. That's the reason Hugh Freeze is the coach there.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
His point was, we're going to get there.
Yeah.
But they've been there the last 3 years. Doesn't mean we're not going to try to win the game, not going to win the game. But he was laying the groundwork that the next 3 weeks, there's a difference between their rosters and our rosters, and we're going to give it a fighting chance. But there's a different roster on the field.
Yeah, I mean, if it's roster versus roster, you go 0-3 in those games. There's no doubt. And that's where it's on Hugh Freeze and Philip Montgomery and Ron Roberts and all those coaches to try to find, the small ways you can get wins right there, right? What is a way or two? Now, Texas A&M a little bit easier than Georgia in a couple of weeks, right? When Georgia comes to Auburn for the 2:30 game 2 weeks from now, those rosters are miles apart, right? And you got to have a lot more than just little wins. You can find small places, though. Maybe you could beat Texas A&M and win this game in College Station. It's not as big a gap. Though they have recruited well, it's not as big a gap. And some would argue the coaching advantage is certainly in favor of the Auburn Tigers in that game.
Lucio says Auburn is the 15th most talented team in the last 4 recruiting cycles. Harsin just was very bad at it. Several others, including Jeff, says, I'm ready for him, Hugh, to take over the play calling. Others are talking about how he basically is urging Philip Montgomery to get the run game going. We'll see what it's all about. You heard one reporter there ask about holding things back for SEC play. You don't necessarily always hold things back. Every game plan is different. But we will know fully the identity of this Auburn team after Saturday against Texas A&M. Thanks to our friends at Roback bringing us our overtime today. Roback.com. Use the promo code TNR20 to get 20% off your first purchase there. We love the folks at Roback. Support them. LancesLock.com and, of course, MyBookie, mybookie.ag. That's our overtime. We're back with you tonight with our Monday Night Football show. Just set your alert on all our video platforms. We'll get you ready for a doubleheader in Monday Night Football, including an early start at 6:15 for the first game. And then we're back with you tomorrow at 9 a.m. with the next round. See you, folks.
Jim Dunaway,